Welcome to Midwest Paranormal Presents Paranormal Soup. I'm your host, Jason Bland, and we're back after a week break. I am so sorry, but it was Father's Day weekend last Sunday, and I wanted to spend it with my sons. We watched movies. We had a really good time. I've had a great weekend off, actually, this weekend. We've had beautiful 90-degree weather here in Michigan City, Indiana. I literally, the pool water was 90 degrees out, but the pool water was like 85, so it was like bath water. It's great. And I'm having issues tonight with a mouse problem, so not like a real mouse, like a mouse for your computer. It just keeps going out on me. New batteries and all. I don't know. So if I delay or something looks weird tonight, it's because I'm trying to hit a button. But you know who we have tonight? We have a guest tonight, Christi Hoffman. She's the author of Real Life Angel Encounters. We're going to be talking to her tonight. She's also intuitive, a channel, a teacher, a consultant, a Reiki Master. I cannot wait to talk to her tonight about these encounters. I've already had some people messaging me about their own angel encounters when they saw the show topic tonight. So call in later. We do open up the phone lines later in the show if you want to join the conversation. But we got a lot of weird to get to, as always, since I've been gone for 2 weeks. I have a lot, but I keep it to 7 articles. So a lot of weird to get to. Great guest tonight. So let's go ahead and get rolling into the show. See, this is me trying to get a button right now to switch it over. This mouse is going to kill me tonight. I don't even know how to fix it besides shutting down and restarting the system, which I'm not doing that for a mouse. But tonight, our guest is going to be Christi Hoffman. She's going to join us after the World Wide Web of Weird after our first commercial break. But joining me, as always, is my beautiful co-host, Jamie D. How you doing tonight, Jamie?
Doing good, thank you.
Glad to have you here. For guys listening, that don't make it to the end of the show next week, I don't know if I'll have a guest. It'll either be open lines or whatever. I know we will definitely do a show because the following Sunday I have a work thing I won't be able to. So we'll definitely have a show. Don't know if I'll have a guest. We need to see what's his name with the oh god dang it. I'm thinking with the Staticom. Tony. We need to get Tony on here. We need to find out what he's doing, man, because I've been seeing the test, man. We got to get him on here at Staticon. Because, my shirt you can't read. I'm not antisocial. I like to talk to the dead. Something like that. I can't even read my own shirt through the thing here. We got a lot of weird to get to, so let's go ahead and roll into the World Wide Web of Weird. Tonight on the World Wide Web of Weird is my mouse. No, seriously, I gotta keep moving this thing. But tonight we're gonna start out with, of course, something we've talked about on the show, us conspiracy theorists. The Bilderberg Group. They had their annual shadowy meeting again. Can we show up with like a Festivus pool and like say, yeah, if you guys are controlling the world, you really suck. For those listening on the Paranormal Soup radio network, we are a webcast streaming out live to Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. But if you want to listen, I will narrate as best as possible. And where is my other percent thing? It's down here. Okay, I'm going to have to get used to that. Okay, first up, let's see if I got Article 1 here. Yeah, shadowy Bilderberg Group here. Originally intended to enable dialogue between Europe and North America, the group, which is comprised of some of the world's most powerful politicians, bankers, and business owners, corporations, has become synonymous with stories of shady dealings and clandestine government agendas. Added to the mystery surrounding the group's annual meeting is the fact no cameras or journalists are allowed inside the meeting, meaning that everything that is discussed remains private. This year's meeting, which took place yesterday, which was last week, was attended by NATO General Secretary Mark Root, Microsoft CEO Satya Nadella, however you say your name, and U.S. Military Commander Christopher Donahue. According to reports, the meeting aimed to address topics such as situations in Ukraine. Oh, yeah, that's going swimmingly. Artificial intelligence, we're all going to die. Transatlantic relations. Oh, that's just going swell. And the distribution of valuable rare materials, like the ones you stole from Ukraine. Uh-oh, I saw we lost our guest. Oh, no, never mind. We didn't. She's there. I see her. It just does this thing. It slides down and then makes me paranoid that I lost my guest. Stop doing that to me, StreamYard. I can't take it. Suffice it to say, it's unlikely we'll ever know exactly what goes on in these events as the doors have been closed. And that's only the topics they told us they're discussing. We call conspiracy theorists maybe don't have big, powerful people having all these discussions behind closed doors. And then we can blame you for how crappy things are going right now in the world, right? You guys are doing swimmingly if you actually do control everything. I really don't believe these people do. I do believe there's nefarious things that happen at the Bilderberg Group meetings, but a lot of it's just about, how can we make a bunch of money and we don't care about anybody else. And if they get screwed over or die or wars happen, hey, we made money. It's more about making money. All right, on to the next. If I can get my mouse. Come on, mouse. No, you can do it. You can do it. It's going to be the bane of my existence all night tonight. Okay, all right. I have to keep it moving. That's the only thing I can do. I think, okay, the next up are some videos. We got some UFO stuff to get to. All right, Article 2. More footage emerges of alleged alien spheres near Boga, Colombia. Now, we've been talking about this. Now I should have clicked on the video before I took my eyes away from my crazy possessed mouse. There he goes. Maybe. Here we go. Let me mute that too. We don't want to hear it. It's too loud. All right. Ever since the infamous Boga Sphere put the Colombian region on the map, more reports of spheres have been coming in, and this is the newest footage. Something unusual has been appearing in the skies over Colombia Boga region in the recent months, but whether it's a genuine mystery or just an elaborate hoax remains up for debate. I agree. The intrigue began earlier this year when the release of the footage showing a strange metallic sphere. Soon after, reports surfaced claiming that the object has been recovered and was being studied by scientists. One of these radiologists, Dr. Jose Luis Valquez, maintained that the sphere exhibited no apparent welds or joints as would be expected if it were man-made. It is of artificial origin, and that shows no evidence of welding internal structure. We've talked about this. We've talked about this, and they've done the whole scans of it and all this stuff. We need more eyes on it, and then I'll believe. But now we seem to be having the clearest day footage of these spheres coming out of there. But in the defense of that, them getting this footage, they're not the only ones. I've been seeing a lot. I mean, we got to go all the way back to this last year. What was it with the airport in England, right, Jamie?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty right on with this kind of thing. I mean, it's pretty much very similar. I'm trying to get my mouse back, so I'm delaying here. Come on, I can see the cursor. It's just frozen. Come on.
But is this the second or the third since that?
There we go.
I feel like it's
this is like the third or more, like major story. There's been more than that, though. Let me get this out of here. We've seen that. So you saw this footage. Yeah, out of Colombia, this is the second, I think, footage. Because you had the main footage. Oh, no, it might be the third footage. You're right. It's like the third footage. But the first one where it actually came down and landed, and they have that sphere. Supposedly, that's a story. Again, Hami Musan is involved. You know how I feel about that. So I don't know. I mean, is this all a big freaking hoax? That's what we're going to ask. I don't know. They need to put their money where their mouth is, and we need more evidence. Let's get a third party involved that they can trust, that we can trust, that people can trust. Sorry, there's a track record of why we can't trust these things. All right, next up.
Did you see, is this what you're going to play? The new military?
This is the next one. This next one is filmed in China.
Okay.
It might be our new military in China.
Well, no, there's like a new military one that came out like
this is from week. Oh, really? No, this is Hidden Underbelly 2.0. Love this channel. Interesting video, and this is from Tim Biddle from Coast to Coast. Shows strange China object out of China, a silver sphere flying through the sky over a reservoir. The intriguing footage was reportedly captured on June 5th by the witness in Beijing. According to the individual who filmed the aerial oddity, they were walking along the shore of the Shayuko Reservoir, I butchered that, when they noticed a metallic spherical object flying eastward above the water. After the unusual object disappeared behind a hill, the witness dismissed the object as simply an errant balloon. However, when it appeared again from the south, they understandably grew perplexed by the puzzling silver orb. I mean, this is, no different than what we're seeing in Colombia. I mean, it's the same thing. So what are they? Alien, military, ultra-dimensional, ultra-terrestrial? Are they the spheres of the heavens? What are we got? I mean, are we having an alien invasion? I don't know. Things are getting interesting. I told you they would. The closer we get to World War III, which I honestly think we already are pretty much in World War III, to be honest, we're going to see a lot more crazier stuff. And at the same time, you don't know. You don't know, is this real? Is that real down in Colombia? I don't know. Anything can be made now, CGI-wise. You have no way of knowing. I don't know. Now I'm just messing with my mouse, and we'll get to the next article. Come on now. I got to, knock it alive. Why? Now it just opens a window that it shouldn't. There we go. Okay. It's going to be the bane of my existence. Then we got this one. I think this next one's, the one from Jeremy Corbell. Love to have him on my show. Love to talk about all kinds of things. I love his documentaries. I'm too small for him, I'm sure. I will get this next one up here. It lets me add to the stage if my mouse comes back to life.
I just sent you the other one I was talking about, too, that you can look at later. Which Jeremy Corbell is mentioned in this one, too. So.
Yeah, I think this is it. I got to remove that one. And I need to get the other one up. There we go. Hold on. That's why it's much better when Rob's here to do it. Okay. All right, so this is the one from Jerry Corbell. Reportedly captured on thermal camera back in 2020, the video which shows what appears to be a large disc-shaped object barely visible amongst heavy clouds. It also shows some white spheres I've seen in this. Did you notice the white spheres in it besides the big, huge disc? All of our eyes are on that thing. It's huge. But there's also some white spheres I see flying around in it, too.
That's why I was bringing this up, because I did this on Wednesday.
I mean, this thing looks like it's huge. I don't know how big it actually is. The Little Owls Headley Cow cover was recently published by investigative journalists Jeremy Corbell and George Knapp. This is the first time in history military film footage of a disc-shaped UAP designated as such by the military has been captured on camera, released to the public, Corbell told the Mail Online. It looks like it's filmed by the military. It looks like it's... What's up?
Is that looking straight up?
I don't think so. Footage viewable below features several clips, including the original raw footage as well as enhanced versions created by the U.S. government. Created by the U.S. government? Did they just create it like AI imaging? Sorry. According to Corbell and Knapp, internal documents concerning the object describe it as a disk and claim that it was navigating through the clouds. The lack of notable heat signature from the object adds they could be above the clouds and filming it. I felt like they were filming it below, but I don't know. I honestly don't know. You do not see plumes of heat coming off this disc-shaped object. Corbell says this was captured on a thermal sensor. It should have detected heat if any traditional propulsion was present, but there was nothing. That's one of the wildest aspects. The pair reportedly spent 2 years authenticating the footage. And hey, they did that. They spent 2 years trying to authenticate it. That's awesome. Let's not just jump the gun and released it. The source is legit. We know it's real, he said Knapp. It was not supposed to be made public, but it should have been. There's a depth of field, Corbell added. There's relative distance. The shape is undeniable, and the movement is extraordinary. You've seen it dip into the clouds, then emerge in reverse direction. That's not artifact. That's a real object in motion. But yeah, I'm not sure what is being filmed above, from below. I'm not sure. I'd love to have Jeremy Corbell on to tell me. That's never going to happen. Okay, let's see. I'm going to run out of time here because of this dang mouse. Maybe not. Oh, come on. It's now it's possessed. Okay, now it really is. Oh my God. If you see me reaching across my desk, that's because I have to use the other one. I might have to. This is getting bad. There we go. All right. I have to take the batteries out again or something? I don't know. Oh my God. It's just getting worse. Okay, I'm trying to get to the next article, but my mouse is not cooperating. Come on, you can scroll down. That's the right way. Seriously. Okay. It's like fighting. Here we go. Sorry. I'm trying. And it's stuck again. I'm on Article 5. I don't know. Go check it out, though, the Corbell footage on your own. I mean, it's just... Tell me if you see discs in that. I think I do. All right, keep my mouse moving while I'm talking, or I'll lose it. And then while we have all this going, you know what? We've talked about the moon. Senior Army official makes startling admission about soldier astronaut on the moon. Senior Army official, we spoke to a soldier astronaut on the moon. That's what he literally says during this hearing. Despite the fact no human has set foot on the moon since the end of the Apollo era in the 1970s, and those who argue that we never did, one of America's most senior military officials this week made a rather bizarre claim about the country's presence on the lunar surface during a live news interview. Oh, it was a news interview. That's what it was. Speaking to Brian Kilmeade on the Fox News on Wednesday, Dan Driscoll, the Secretary of the Army, unexpectedly came out with a reference to a soldier astronaut on the moon while talking about the events surrounding the Army's 250th anniversary. The Army started planning this anniversary parade long in advance because that, we believe, will continue the strength in recruiting and retention that we have as young Americans across the country get to see all the amazing things that the Army has done. Whether it's helping with floods in North Carolina or wildlife fires in California, or we talked to an astronaut yesterday who was on the moon, who's a soldier, including actually going to war and fighting to defend the freedoms that make our nation so great. Now, could he have been stipulating or saying like he talked to a soldier who's been on the moon, like one of any of the previous Apollo mission astronauts, soldiers? I mean, considered soldiers. I know they were all. Yeah, I mean, they could be. I mean, in a sense, they weren't tipped like soldiers. They were pilots, but maybe could he have meant that? It'd have to be one of them from the Apollo mission, unless we have actual soldiers on the moon, which you damn sure, if we're doing a secret space program, we have a base on the moon, secret one.
Yes. Many Apollo astronauts were military veterans, particularly fighter pilots from the Navy and Air Force. For example, Neil Armstrong, and Buzz, and the crew of Apollo all had...
So that's what I'm wondering. Is he talking about like he talked to like Buzz that day? You know, he talked to Buzz Aldrin, you know. Is that what he meant? I don't know. It just doesn't seem right, though, does it? That's the excuse, you know. He was talking about because he talked to a former Apollo astronaut. That's what he meant. But it doesn't sound like it. Doesn't sound like it. Some suggested this is evidence that the U.S. has been conducting clandestine lunar landings for years. You bet you ass they are. While others believe it was just a slip of the tongue. I mean, seriously. Okay, so if you want to know a threat, you know, right there, an orbital threat into our country, If anybody puts a base up on the moon with nuclear capabilities, they have the ability to strike anywhere. Moonraker. Come on, man. Is the James Bond, yes, bad guy that's going to put a base up there. I mean, American military is going to do it. Did it a long time ago. I think they did. Like, many people that are like, we never went to the moon ever. I honestly think we have. I think we found aliens there, and then we stopped going, but then our government secretly, clandestine, still kept going. Aliens or not. All right, let me see. I'm working on getting the mouse moving. It's stuck again. Come on. It's like, I'm going to get the magic right on this somehow. There we go. Okay. All right. Oop, I need to get this one going, though. I keep forgetting I got to remove this one. I want to hear him talk. I haven't heard the interview. I just read the article. I'd like to hear what he actually said to get a feel. Like, is he talking about, like, one of the former Apollo astronauts? I don't know. But I hit this. See, I did it the wrong way. There I am, doing it the wrong way. Nope, let's do this. Image file. I'm so bad at this. We're number 6, right? Yes, Salt Lake man allegedly attempts to attack with wooden stake, claims victim was a werewolf. Unexplained Mysteries shorter article is Utah man arrested after attacking werewolf with a wooden stake. They just go with the fact that they think it's a werewolf right away. Unexplained. I love Unexplained Mysteries. It's a website where you get these articles in more short form I like to use for the radio part, the read. And some of their titles like that. You see this title, right? This one's more to the point. This is a local news thing, about what happened. But Unexplained Mysteries, Utah man arrested after attacking a werewolf with a wooden stake. Like, we're going to imply that it's definitely a werewolf. I'm sorry. The incident came to light when police officers were called out on the afternoon of Sunday, June 14th, to attend a disturbance involving a 24-year-old Jose Manuel Perez. According to reports, Perez had been having a lunch with another man when he suddenly took out a wooden stake with a nail protruding from it and started attacking him. After placing the victim in a chokehold, he proceeded to threaten to pierce him through the heart with a stake because he had become convinced the man was in fact a werewolf. And so did Unexplained Mysteries. They're convinced. Fortunately, the victim was able to break free and escape. When officers caught up to Perez, he was in possession of the other man's backpack and maintained that he believed the werewolf had intended to kill him. In the end, he was booked on one count of aggravated robbery. Exactly why he believed the other man to be a werewolf remains unclear.
Drugs are bad, okay?
No, I mean, maybe he is. I definitely believe in the possible existence of people that can shapeshift into werewolves. I do. I don't know if this is it. Unexplained Mysteries does. Sorry. All right, this last one I say for last, and I really debated on doing this one. But it's something we've talked about on the show. It's something that I need to get my mouse back. I'm getting all dramatic, and I can't even control the dang show. It's something that we've talked about on the show. Is something that's evil that's existed, that there are... they find these bodies of infants and stuff like that. Well, this next one is another case. I mean, how many we got to have to know that this is real? And it does involve Irish, rescue for, unwed mothers. I don't know how many you've seen this. Remains of nearly 800 babies and children. They say babies and infants and children. Like, some of them were 3 years old. Could be in a waste tank. Could be in a waste tank at a nun-run Irish unwed mother and baby home. Have you seen this, Jamie? No. Count Galloway Iron Cruise in Ireland began work this week to excavate a site in the former church-run home for unmarried women and their babies to identify the remains of what expected to be around 800 infants and young children who died there. Many of the remains could be found in an old, disused sewage tank, according to authorities. The backstory: long-awaited excavation of former Bon Secours mothers and baby home in Tom County, Galloway, in Western Ireland is part of a reckoning in an overwhelming Roman Catholic county with a history of abuses in the church-run institution. The home, which was run by another order of Catholic nuns and closed in 1961, was one of the many such institutions that housed tens of thousands of orphans and unmarried pregnant women who were forced to give up their children throughout much of the 20th century. In 2014, historian Catherine Corliss tracked down death certificates for nearly 800 children who died at the home in Tuam between 1920 and 1961, but could only find burial records for one child. So they only buried one. And after that, they're like, we buried one. Just throw the rest in the toilet. It's like what they found in Canada. And it's like, and you know what? It's still happening. These things are still happening. You know, all these children went missing from all the illegal immigration in this country.
And
Evil
from
exists.
North Carolina.
How did these children die? Are you just that bad? You couldn't take care of that many children? 800 of them died? You know, what, from the 60s to how long did it run? The 20s and 60s? I mean, I guess. I don't know. But it all seems very nefarious, and this is not the first or the last time they're going to find these things, you know. Sadly, children go missing. Yeah, a lot of these mothers thought their kids were being put up for adoption, I bet. And they weren't. So why would they kill them? What were they doing with them? Inquiring minds want to know.
They didn't have to deal with it?
Yeah. Remember what we had Abe Abbas or whatever.
We're selling parts on the black market? Or no, they're all in the tape, though.
About Mother Teresa? Yeah. Some dark things, people, dark things out there. And like I've said, this stuff's real. There's a long history of this. But that's it for the World Wide Web of Weird. If I can get the dang thing to go away, the mouse needs to work. It's not working. There we go. That's it for the World Wide Web of Weird. Tonight's guest is Christi Hoffman. We're going to talk about her new book, Real Life Angel Encounters. And I'm sure I already know some of you have had your own experiences. We will open up the phone lines later in the show, after probably not this commercial break, but the next. Call in and join the discussion. I'd love to hear about it. I know our guests would love to hear it too. But we're going to go to a short commercial break and be back with Christi Hoffman, Real Life Angel Encounters, after the short commercial break.
You were brought here for one purpose, necromancy.
A ceremony dating back to the pre-Christian era. It's the art of reviving the dead. It requires involvement with evil spirits by the person performing the act.
The devil god brings life to the dead.
No, please. No, please.
And death to the living. Necromancy. Starring Orson Welles and Pamela Franklin. From Cinerama releasing. In color, rated PG, parental guidance suggested.
If you are interested in discovering the truth about the paranormal and want to hear from leading researchers in the field, join Justin Brown on his 3 weekly shows named My Paranormal Soapbox, Necromancer Live Show, and the Supernatural Symposium, live on Facebook, YouTube, and InterfaceDeath.net.
He is conducting an experiment into the combined effects of sensory deprivation and hallucinatory drugs. The subject of the experiment is himself, and the experiment is out of control. Ken Russell's Altered States, a film that must not be missed, is in the West End now. Altered States, Certificate X.
Hello, I am Fernando Martinez. I think by now you know I am an emotional kind of guy. People stop me in the street and say, Fernando, what the hell is wrong with me? Silk shirt, hairy chest, enough aftershave to drown a household pet, but I still cannot get a woman, I tell them you are an ignorant fool. Without a symbol of power and fertility around your neck, what kind of woman is going to respect you? That is why I have teamed up with Medallion Man, the shop for medallion needs. Medallion Man caters to all levels of masculinity. For the strong, silent type, a medallion the size of a hubcap will say everything that needs to be said. Even singing medallions for the Casanova, who knows music is the food of love. Model trains, dollhouses, diapers, whatever your interest, we've got a medallion for you. Don't forget, every woman knows if you can't support a medallion, you can't support a family.
This is the sound of a space clock aboard a U.S. satellite 180 miles above the Earth. No one winds up this timepiece. It's powered by a tiny battery, a battery that delivers power for years without replacement. Now the same type of battery, the Duracell battery, can bring new reliability and long life to your battery-operated equipment. Radios, cameras, toys, all run far longer. Duracell batteries, the long-distance power cells, outlast any ordinary battery. The same type of battery that keeps space clocks running for years can bring long life to anything powered by batteries. Dura, as in durable. Cell, as in power cell. The Duracell battery, made by Mallory.
Switch to DCS ranging.
240, nominal to profile.
We're in the pipe. 5 by 5.
Tonight on Paranormal Soup, our guest is Christi Clemons Hoffman. Christi is the host of Real Life Angel Encounters podcast on the Mind and Body Spirit FM network. She's also the host of the Radiate Wellness Podcast, which is in the 6th year on the Mind Body Spirit FM network. It's dedicated to bringing thought leaders, authors, practitioners, and inspirational guests to radiate light, wellness, balance, creativity, and much more to an international audience. She's also co-author of an international best-selling book, The Gap, Simple Steps to Reclaim Your Health and Reverse Most Chronic Diseases. Christi is a lifelong intuitive, channel, teacher, consultant, and Reiki Master whose passion is connecting people with their spiritual team through angel communication, and animal communication, mediumship, and spiritual coaching. Christi is also certified at level 3 in QHHT, or Quantum Healing Hypnosis Technique, as developed by Dolores Cannon, whose name has been mentioned probably a billion times on the show by different guests as well. Very famous person there as well, Dolores Cannon, we've talked about before. Tonight, though, Christi Hoffman, we're talking about real-life angel encounters, and I'd love to hear from you later in the show with your own when we open up the phone lines. But we got a great guest tonight, so let's go ahead and get going into the show. All right, mouse, work with me now so we can get my guest in here. There we go. How you doing tonight, Christi? Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Jason. Thanks for having me.
It's an honor to have you on. You know, I gave you a little bit about yourself in the intro and all that, the bio. But I'd let the audience know, like, you know, you've been a lifelong intuitive. You know, how did it all start? You know, it sounds like from childhood, but you know, what brought you into this, like, you know, life, this work?
Oh my! I usually ask somebody to buy me a beer before I tell the whole story.
I don't have any beer. I have coffee, but I can't give it to you.
Watermelon juice here. I grew up as well, I didn't even know what it was. I grew up seeing ghosts, and I grew up being interested in the weird stuff, the paranormal and the cryptids and all those kind of things. Seeing energy, I knew things, and I had no context whatsoever to put that in at all. So I learned pretty quickly you don't talk about that at school because it makes you weird. You're the weird kid. So
I had that experience.
Yeah, the weird kid. Yeah, and. So, but I didn't have any guidance around it. I didn't know you could do anything special with it. I didn't know that was anything that was unique. I had no context. So as an adult, here I am in a, pretty typical life where I was working corporate jobs. I was an editor at a publishing company, and then later I moved to Hallmark Cards, which is based here in Kansas City. And my husband decided to leave the family, and it was a very strange time for me because I didn't understand what was going on.
Yeah.
And I started wondering about things like soulmates and karma and karmic cycles and soul families. And so I started Googling, and, honestly, all roads lead to Dolores Cannon. So I found her pretty quickly. And
like I said, we've had so many guests on here that have mentioned being influenced or taught or learned from Dolores Cannon.
Yeah. So I found Dolores, and that was pretty cool. I thought, well, that's what I need to do is do a QHHT session, and then I'll have all the answers. Well, come to find out, when I tried to book a session with her, she was booked up for 4 years. And I didn't know she was like Dolores Cannon. I didn't know she was a big deal. And they said, well, but you could probably get in sooner if you go to somebody local. She's just started teaching people how to use her method. And I found somebody here in town. Actually, I'm a terrible subject. I am so left-brained. I am a control enthusiast. So I was not a great subject at the time. And this practitioner referred me to somebody who does readings. She does fantastic readings. I really enjoyed my visit with her after I was referred, and sent my friends to her. They enjoyed readings with her as well. And then she started teaching classes. So I started taking all the classes that she was teaching, that she was offering. And I started doing the work on my own. I started seeing clients and doing readings for them, angels and guides and mediumship and all the things. Over the years, I added on Reiki because I was meeting all of these people who were energy healers, and I had no idea what that was. And then I thought, well, that's probably something I ought to learn how to do. And then always in the back of my mind, there was this QHHT thing. I promise I'm getting to the Angel Encounters podcast and the book. I promise I'm getting to the book. So I was seeing clients, I was doing readings, and I was doing Reiki online and in person. And then I got laid off at Hallmark along with like 1,500 of my closest friends. And they paid for entrepreneurial classes for all of us, well, whoever wanted to take entrepreneurship classes. And I took a class to learn how to open a business. I opened Radiate Wellness, which is my wellness collaborative. There's other practitioners who are in this group practice, and we do a variety of things. But the same week that I had launched the website and the business, because Radiate Wellness is a virtual business. Our office is basically our website. And the same week that I launched the website, I went down to Eureka Springs for a week and took QHHT level 1. It was like, I don't know what I was thinking. But anyway, so I've been doing QHHT since 2016. Since 2016. And then, so I was doing all that, readings, Reiki, and regression. And I decided I needed to start a podcast. So I started Radiate Wellness Podcast. And then during the pandemic, my guide started tapping me on the shoulder. Hey, Christi, you need to do another podcast about us. And I was like, no, I've got a podcast already. No, I don't want to do that. And they said, okay, that's fine. And they started tapping me on the shoulder a little bit later. They said, well, seriously, honey, you need to do this. And I'm like, no, I've got a busy practice. I'm a single mom, and I've already got a podcast. So finally, they convinced me I needed to do the podcast. And Real Life Angel Encounters is loosely based on Jim Harold's Campfire show.
Well, we've had Jim on here. Yeah, a long time ago. I love Jim, though.
I love Jim. He endorsed my book. He's been
big
on
influence
Real
on
Life.
me.
Oh, he what now?
He's a big influence on me. When I first started out trying to do this, for one of the people I listened to was Jim Harold's Campfire.
Oh, he's the
Besides Art Bell, I'm a huge Art Bell fan, but
yeah.
But
Right.
Jim Harold's Campfire, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh,
He's
yeah.
great guy.
He's the nicest guy. My gosh, this guy is so sweet. And he will support podcasters. He'll support people.
Oh, yeah.
He's just amazing. So, yeah, my show was loosely based on Jim Harold's Campfire. So I've been doing this show since like 2021. And I took a hiatus of a couple of years in there because I was having a hard time finding real people to tell their stories. And just the grueling nature of having 2 weekly podcasts was a lot. So I put it to bed after a while. But then I saw that people were still listening to it. They were still downloading it. And a lot of it was like popular. And so I decided to bring it back. And so I thought, if I'm going to bring this back, let's launch a book as well. And then the book can kind of help the podcast, and the podcast helps the book. So I decided to launch the book. So the book I'm super excited about it because it's the best of the best stories of season 1 of Real Life Angel Encounters. So put them into book format, edited the transcripts slightly just so they would make, that's the book.
Yeah, I'm just fighting with my mouse this whole time to finally get it working.
You and your mouse. I'm so sorry. That stinks. I've been having my own kind of personal Mercury retrograde for the past week and a half. I don't know why, but technology is just not my friend all of a sudden. It's not going to be retrograde. You too?
Yes, and the solar activity. It's been insane.
Yeah. I'm just like, my apps won't work. I can't log into anything. My phone is super slow and laggy.
Yeah.
Drops calls, the TV flashes, the satellite flashes. It's crazy.
Really? Schumann resonance is off the hook.
Big time.
And then, of course, we had the solstice last night.
And then, people are seeing flying orbs and but how many people are having more? I wonder. I believe in I'm reading. I got from a book from trying to remember. Now it's trying to think of the name of the book. I just got it recently, but that we're heading into something where people are becoming more awake. We all feel like we're becoming more consciousness of this stuff. Do you think people are having more alien encounters?
Ooh, interesting. Do I think people are having more alien encounters?
Or angel encounters? Alien angel, I don't know.
I'll tell you what. That's a really good point, though, Jason. There is one story in Real Life Angel Encounters where this woman was like, I don't know, what do I call them? Do I call them angels? Do I call them aliens?
That's
do I call them light
quite
beings?
often the conversation we have here. Zerion, I know, the Quickening by Art Bell.
Oh, yeah.
For him, it was all about societal. It wasn't about paranormal as much. It was about societal advancements and everything happening. But I think there's also a quickening spiritually.
Oh, heck yes. Okay, yes. 1,000%. So during the pandemic, people were going inside.
Right.
People were going, right? And they were going to YouTube. They were reading books that they'd always meant to read and hadn't read yet. And they were watching all these shows and listening to podcasts, starting podcasts. And they were taking deep dives and they were awakening. I call this whole period the post-COVID awakening.
Right. That's what we've talked about on the show. It's all these people made them. As much as I hated the whole COVID thing, and there's a lot of people that want to bring out my Festivus pool and wring their necks about the way things were done and handled. One thing I saw about it was it did give the world a stop or a pause, and some people time to think, hey, this 9-to-5 job really does suck. After they were forced to go home for a month or two, right?
Yeah, exactly. Let me spend some time with my kids and my spouse.
Right. That was the worst part about it is I the whole time I'm like, God, this is great. Every morning getting up to spend time with my wife and kids and I didn't want to let go of it, but at the same time I was so stressed out because what's going to happen in the world? You couldn't totally enjoy it, not a worry wart like me could. I'm still a bit worried, but at the whole time I'm you got to stop thinking about it because enjoy this time off with your family, right?
Yeah,
that's the only chance you have to do all the things that you always say I can't do because I don't have time for it. Everything that you just really, really want to do, that was the time.
That was the time. It was in many ways it was a gift and I hate to say that because I know so many people died, but still, for the rest of us, it was a gift. And there's a story in Real Life Angel Encounters, the book, from David Ditchfield, and he had I don't know if you guys have had him on before.
I know that name.
So he is in the UK and he had gotten drug under a train. His coat got caught in the sliding doors and he got.
I've heard of him, but I haven't had him on.
He had a near-death experience. Lovely fellow, lovely guy.
Love to have him though.
he's super. So his section of real life angel encounters, he talks about, how, the whole, so he had a near death experience. Let me back. He had a near death experience. And a pretty extensive one. He came out of this wanting to paint the angels that he saw and write a symphony. He never did either one of those things. He never wrote music, much less a freaking symphony. He had never painted anything. He like dabbled with some desktop publishing, but anyway, he talks in his story about how, just like the pandemic and just slowing down and everything gave us a chance to find out what we really believe and what we really want in life and how we really want to show up in the world. So it wasn't all bad.
And forced us to prioritize and reprioritize and reevaluate.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and ask questions. We kind of got the health movement going out of that. It got me to stop eating fast food all the damn time. It did. It totally broke me of that bad habit. Yeah, it did. I used to eat it all the time for lunch at my work. Ooh. And now I bring my lunch. Oh, yeah, it was bad. I was real bad. And then my wife, it made her turn into a total health nut. Like, she started a garden. She took out all the processed food out of the house pretty much. So, so there's, the bright side of things, the best you can.
And clearing up the food like that, too, helps clear our mind, which helps us connect better also.
Yeah. They don't want that.
We do it anyway.
Yeah. But I think I always say, that's funny, I believe in the force or God. Pick your tomato or tomato. And I believe it's God's joke on those who perpetuated the whole COVID thing. Those behind it and their greed and power. And responsible for a lot of people's deaths. I think that's God's sick joke. He's like, you tried to do this evil thing, but it made people stop, reflect, and wake up to your bullshit. BS. Try not to cuss on the show. Yes, Jason. But you know what I mean.
Right. In the first year into the pandemic, I'm asking my guides, because I'm talking to them all the time. I love your t-shirt, Jason. You say, I'm not antisocial. I talk to the dead. I need a t-shirt that says, I'm not antisocial. I'm talking to my angels. Because I'm talking to my angels all the frickin' time. So first year in the pandemic, I'm going, you guys, what the F? Why are we doing this? And they're like, honey, you co-created the situation. They said, we needed you to stop. We needed you to slow down. You cannot go at the same pace that you've been going at. They said, we needed you to go inside. I mean, we went inside our four walls, but they wanted us to go inside. And so many of us did. The second year into the pandemic, and we're still dealing with that crap. And I'm like, okay, guys, what the heck? Why are we still doing this? And they said, you know what? Not everybody went inside. Y'all need some more of this. So I think a lot of us did take that opportunity and go inside.
Yeah. Yeah, we went inside, and I hope a lot of people got pissed off, though, because there's things that pissed me off. We went inside, we're forced to be inside, and small businesses went out, corporations made a bunch more money, the wealthier got way more wealthier.
Yeah, that part sucks.
There's a lot of sucky parts. I'm not going to sit here and think it, but we can find some of the light side. Is it got some of us to stop and maybe do some inner reflection, a little less Instagram, and
100%. Mm-hmm. Right. And we got creative. People got creative. Remember, it was Halloween, and people were building like candy shoots and stuff. We were getting creative to try to figure out how to do our normal things in like this new way. It's like, ooh, what can I create?
I just never want to see nurses dancing in some montage video again and all that stuff again. Please, never again. Don't do that stuff. Don't. Or, all the campaign or media campaign, all that stuff. So much manipulation in the media, all that stuff. It just drives me nuts. Fear mongering, stuff like that too. It was a time where people were put under a lot of fear and stress. And and that forced them again. That does force people to inner reflect, challenge. That's what life throws at us. So I just think it's got my grandfather, when he died, said, accordingly to one of my aunts, life's a joke. He hadn't spoken in 2 years from dementia, and his last words after not speaking were, life's a joke, and then he died. And that makes me wonder, like, there is a sense of humor to the universe, of these things. We woken up to the BS. I've seen a lot of it. I've seen a lot of people wake up, not just spiritually, not politically. Screw all the politics, but waking up here, like more like the George Carlin kind of thing, realizing there's a big old club, but you ain't in it. That kind of waking up.
Yeah.
That's the kind of thing. I was like, it's God's joke, like I'm saying, like, yeah, you're going to do evil and do that, but it's going to actually have a good purpose in the end.
Yeah, I think still people were and are still waking up to these bigger truths that I am not alone in all of this. I have guides with me. I am not just this physical body. There's so much more to me, that there's God, there's this force that's in play. I think so many people woke up to that maybe there's something to this cycle of rebirth and karma. Maybe there's something to that. Maybe I've been an alien. Maybe I've been a tree. All these things, these possibilities that people were waking up to and still are. Let me stress that, still are.
I think it is. I think we're going to see more popularity in it. I hope more people become more inspired to ask these questions and be interested in this stuff. But I do a show I have for 10 years, 3 hours on a Sunday night. I'm not the best promoter and I have the worst time slot. And, I don't get a lot of views, but I do see some interest peaking. I do see some interest for me and other channels, like more people kind of peeking in that normally didn't take interest in these things. And as you have supposed UFO disclosure, and as you have more people opening up on these shows about the paranormal, and my favorite are the near-death experience stories and the loved ones coming to people after they die. Those are like my favorite because it's all about love, the afterlife.
Yeah.
I see
and then more people are willing to talk about it.
Yeah. And yes, if they're willing to talk about it, they need to talk to me, please. Because I will.
I know that's the thing. You had this trouble like getting these stories,
Right.
I don't think you're going to. I think the more people like you write these books and the more we get this out there, it is an awakening. You're going to have more people willing to talk about it. I think you had a lot tougher time 10 years ago.
Oh, yeah. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, 10 years ago, I don't think this would have been possible. So, no, people want to tell their stories. Now, finding them and then finding people who say, oh, yeah, I've got this really great story, and I agree. Yes, you've got a really compelling story. Let's schedule a time for you to tell it to me. And then crickets.
Yeah.
So it takes a little bit of courage to step out on a limb and tell your story publicly on a forum like a podcast or a book, right? That has worldwide distribution. That takes a little bit extra length. But I do want to stress that I only use first names, no identifying,
right?
Unless they're people who are already pretty forward facing. Like I've had Jim Harold's going to be on the next episode of Real Life Angel Encounters.
Nice.
Along with Simon Bound. Don't know if you know him.
Sounds familiar.
He's done all of he's got a podcast and he's been on all the podcasts. He's been on my podcast, but they both were in the upcoming episode of Real Life Angel Encounters. So they're kind of well known. So I do use their full name, or if somebody's written a book and they really want to about their experience and they want to promote that book, I'll use their name. But generally, first names only, no identifying characteristics.
You can always use my name for my encounter, but I don't know if it's an angelic one or not. Since I had a experience I might be talking about on a TV show when I was 18,
Really?
Where I was saved. What I say by God, the Force, whatever you want to call it. And I also saw a great grandfather of mine, I think,
Whoa.
at that moment too.
Whoa.
It was like a near-death experience, but I didn't die. I was being attacked by what you would call a shadow person. Others would call it demon. I don't know what to call it. It just was not good.
Mm-hmm. Well, I need to know that story because I would love to have you tell it.
Yeah, I'll do it sometime. You want me on one of your podcasts, I'll tell it. I've done it before. I'll tell it again.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very
Because
good.
why? I want to know how many other people, and I have run across people that have run across shadow beings, and there's different kinds. You see a ghost as a shadow, or you see that. But when it comes to the dark side of things, like you have the angel encounters, I've been interested in that, but I'm also interested in the dark ones because there's a danger, to people that run down this road of the paranormal, and it can push you to the brink. the darker side of these things. And that's what I experienced, but I also experienced, I was lucky. And again, God's kind of joke thing is like, because I stuck my nose in this thing, I wouldn't have became a believer in something, a higher power that had no judgment, and it's all about love and compassion. That's what I experienced. I'm lucky I got to have that experience.
Well, and it sounds like that was a turning point for you. So that may have served a purpose, a greater purpose.
That's what I'm saying. I think all these things do. In some sense, in some way, there's a plan. I don't know. I don't want to believe in predestination, but like some say, it's always in motion. But good prevails. I don't know. That's my hope.
There is a bit of predestination because we have to have
Right.
free will. So we need to be able to work within that paradigm of predestination to find our free will and to make our own choices. And as far as the negative stuff, I know I've heard stories of that, and I know that other people have had experiences with negative things, negative attachments and energies and things like that. It's just not something that I invite into my world. So I don't,
I know, and I understand that.
Yeah.
But sometimes you're a dumb 18-year-old, and you do. And so I'm here to be that supportive person to those people that have those scars from being dumb 18-year-olds or 20-year-olds or whatever you decide to do in your life, and you poke the bear, and you have something follow you home and harass you for months. I say there is a dark side, but there is the light side, and there are entities out there that seemed like I was saved. Like I said, I had this experience. It wasn't, I didn't see any physical person at that moment when I felt it, but when I was hit the floor, this whole experience literally hit the floor. Through a window, I saw also my, somebody that looks like my great-grandfather. Wow. So I think we have angels, but I also think we have ancestors.
Now, do you think that your grandfather came along to save you or protect you?
Great-grandfather, but I think he was there as part of whatever was going on when God entered the room and kicked this thing out.
Okay. Yeah. That's rad.
To give me a message is like I kind of screwed up too.
Mm-hmm.
But with the angel encounters you have in this book,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, are a lot of these stories like are they all centered around like near death experiences, or are there some of them like mine? Mine was not a near death experience,
It is all over the board because I wanted to show readers that there's so many things that we could consider miracles and so many ways that we might be visited by something positive in our life. And so it's not all, in fact, in the book, I'm trying to think, are there any that I put in any stories with angels, like with wings and white robes and things like that? And I don't think that there are in the book. And there
aren't in the Bible.
That's right.
I was going to say, there aren't any in the Bible, so I think you're good.
100%. Yeah.
That's not how they appear.
Michael and Gabriel are the only two in the Bible. And you biblically correct angels. Holy moly, they're weird.
I mean, you can get into all the angel stuff in the Book of Enoch and all that, but like typical Bible, they're people generally seeing beautiful people. But I don't know. I mean, like I believe, like people believe in angels and the powers, whole religions that are that in a sense they have their whole worship of the angels. And I mean, and the angels are very archetypes that you can tie to other religion beings, besides the fact that they hold between Judaism, Christianity, and Islam.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of different beliefs in angels, but a wide belief in angels. What makes you? I was going to ask you what really sold you on the fact of the existence of angels.
Talking to them, feeling them around me, feeling their presence, having them reveal themselves to me.
When you were a child, though, like you said, you've had an intuitiveness. Like, when did this really the communication start happening?
When I learned how to harness that, honestly.
When you're doing the quantum healing hypnosis technique is what I'm really interested in getting into. Because I've heard of it, and, so like, can we talk a little bit about that? A little bit about the quantum healing hypnosis technique? Why is that? different than any of your other kind of like regression therapies and stuff like that. I had like a one regression thing done, and it wasn't bad. My friend Chris Lee did it. He's got a lot of people who recommend him. He's really good, but I don't feel like I'm very good in a virtual setting to be hypnotized in my chair I was in at the time. It wasn't even this comfy chair. That I can't do it that way. I'd have to be in person. I just don't think it'd work. I did have some stuff come across, but like, he's like, we'd have to try again. I'm like, yeah. But what's the difference between that hypnosis and like your typical regression hypnosis?
So there are other forms of regressive hypnosis besides QHHT. Now, I also do introspective hypnosis. That has some similarities to QHHT, but also has some major differences. And that can be done online. QHHT must be done in person. So I believe that so much of our belief has to do with being in person and being with someone. But there's also people who like to be at home and in their own space and in their own atmosphere, right? But so QHHT is different because it is very comprehensive. And remember, Dolores developed this method over decades. She had 40, 50-year career, and she developed it over time. And she started out with the clinical hypnosis stuff, the weight loss, the smoking, the anxieties and phobias. That's how she and her husband, Johnny, started. Over time, she found they just kind of stumbled into past life work. They had no idea what that was.
I've heard that from a lot of people, too. And thank you, Josh Turner from Paranormal Roundtable for the $20 donation. Thank you, Josh. Paranormal Roundtable. Check them out. But I've heard that. I've had a lot of people on the subject of past life and hypnosis and regression, and so many. Not long ago, a few weeks ago, we had a guy on that was the same. They went in for learning hypnosis or whatever to work on other things like anxiety and other issues, typical psychology, or and they end up with getting into the past lives,
because
they weren't believers.
So many of our issues may be rooted in other lifetimes, right? And so she just kind of Dolores kind of stumbled onto that, the past life thing. And so she did that for a long time. And then somebody approached her and said, hey, I know somebody who may have had an alien abduction experience. Do you think you could use hypnosis to help them recover that memory? She said, I don't know, let's try. Very successful. I've done that too, to help people remember abduction experiences. So remember over time. And then over time also, she found that you could use this technique to talk directly to the person's higher self. She called it the subconscious, but
kind of like Edgar Cayce in a sense. Like he had his higher self that would come through, and it's like he was in this hypnotic state. And I've always wondered this. I was fascinated by Edgar Cayce as a child. When my mom she had this book, The Sleeping Prophet. It was a little paperback book, and I was always fascinated by the stories of him and all that, and always wondered, can anybody reach that state of being able to connect to their higher self like he could under hypnotic? Can they get him there?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Some people are a little bit more resistant. Some people are control enthusiasts like me. And I tend to specialize in attracting those type of clients who think, oh, I don't know if this is going to work. Although if you walk into a session thinking, I don't think this is going to work.
Probably doesn't help your chances. Yeah.
No. So, but I do tend to specialize with people who are a little bit, like their left brain. So, this is a very powerful technique. We can reach our higher self. We can, just like Edgar Cayce, talk to our higher self, channel in information from our guide, from our main guide, which is our higher self. We can ask questions, things that, you've pondered all your life. What is my purpose? Why do I keep attracting the same type of people in my life? What are my next steps? What am I doing? Things that I need to do for my path. I mean, we can ask anything. But what sets QHHT apart is we can also achieve some physical healing with the cooperation of the higher self. So I've seen people come into my office. They've got a limp. They walk out. They don't have a limp. They walk in and they got swelling or a rash. And then after the session, they don't have swelling or a rash. They feel better. Their knees don't hurt, what have you. So it's a very comprehensive and powerful technique, and it does a lot.
Well, that's like Chris Lee he had on that does it. He does the same thing. He claims to, that it will, heal. He's had people healed like that too during that. Yeah. It's like them just touching that past life. And that fascinates me. I mean, I had him do his session, but I had 2 very vivid dreams in my life in my early 20s of past lives. I believe 100% they were past lives. And and I always say, for people, those are gifts because it made me realize both of them. I was totally 2 different people in those past lives. One, I was a little girl. The other one, I was a monk, in those dreams. That I was a totally them, but I was me. You know what I'm saying? It's like a realization that you're so much more than the ego, The ego's a part of you. It isn't something to fight off or whatever. It's a part of you, but it's not all of you, and it's not really you.
Not at all. I'm curious, Jason, what did you learn from those 2 other lifetimes?
Well, see, that's the thing. They really both explain why I'm wired the way I am. They really do. Because the one I was a slave. I was a little girl and I was a slave. I was beaten by my master, who was also my biological father. And somehow in that dream, I was being shown by my mother in that dream, who I had another dream about before that, where she was like my guardian angel. It's weird like that, but in this, she's my mother, and she's telling me, it's just like a knowing, as I'm feeling the death blows happening from him, that this is the same person was your biological father in this life. And I don't know him. He didn't, after I was 2, he took off. And like that would explain a lot, but it also explains why I can't stand bullies or anybody who tries to have power over other people. It's a red button, hot button for me. I'm a rebel that way. I don't like people having authority or power over other people. I don't like slavery, right? Nope. But the other thing is the monk one. In that one, I had this master of the temple. I don't know what you would want to call it. And I wore black robes. I remember I had black robes. And he was smoking something, which I think was opium. And I report him to these soldiers. And basically thinking that they're going to go take him out of the temple. And everything will be fine because he betrayed us. That's what I'm thinking. It's like basic thoughts. Like I understand what I'm thinking. I understand who I am. I'm playing out the part in the dream, but I'm observing it too from like an outside view and inside view. It's weird. It's hard to describe. Yeah. But it was very detailed in that sense, the feeling and the emotion. And I tell the soldiers, and next thing I know, they come into the temple and just start murdering everybody, which wasn't what I wanted. And I start running into the jungle away from everything. And next thing I know, I just get to this, like, jump over this tree, and there's this ridge, and there's 3 soldiers there in these, like, gray uniforms and rifles pointed at me. And I remember waking up from the shot into the chest. And I'm waking up, like, sweat running down my chest. And that taught me my reason why I've always distrusted authority, government, and religion. That explains a lot.
Trifecta. Oh, man. No,
And you know why I had that dream? I think I had that dream because I was considering joining a Buddhist monastery. And at that time, I ended up meeting my wife around that period of time. And I was like a decision, like, because I was ready to give up women and life, do the whole Buddhist thing, like just give up the necessities of life, do that. I was really thinking about it. And I had that dream, and I'm like, oh, it looks like I tried that before. I'm serious. It was the thought about it.
Been there, done that, didn't work out.
It didn't end well.
Did not end
so
well.
I was like, maybe not a monastery now this lifetime. And I got married, thank God.
Sounds like that's working out for you.
But that's what I'm saying. Like I had those 2 dreams, I think, for purposes to reveal. I'm very lucky. I feel like that. But I always think, man, how much different the world would be if everybody in one night had a dream of a past life and got to see something like that I saw and wake up the next day remembering it all and being that other person. That'd be so reflective for people to understand there's so much more to you.
I love that. Yeah. Regression dreams for everybody, please.
Right? It would change the world.
Well, and even in regressive hypnosis, the higher self knows how many lives we've lived, and it's usually hundreds, maybe even thousands of lives that we've lived, and not all what we would think of as past either. Many of them are future, many of them are like concurrent at the same time, which gets really trippy.
Or like alternate realities even?
Exactly, alternate dimensions between.
I've always wondered that.
Yeah, so it's not all past lives, but the higher self is like going through your records, your Akashic records, figuring out, well, which lifetime or lifetimes would be best for Jason to see? What would explain the most? What would be the biggest bangs for the buck? So there's many other lifetimes that we don't see in QHHT, but we only see the ones that really have some sort of basis.
If the theory of like the multiverse and like parallel universes is true, this would give that other realm, the other side, a plethora of places for you to learn as a soul, right? You got any option, any alternate reality you want to go to, live a life to pick. Because this is the hardest thing, I think, for people with reincarnation. Besides that, there's some uncomfortable things in relationships with people that you've had in past lives. It gets kind of weird to some people. But I think the biggest one is that we chose our life. We chose our parents. And I'm a believer of that because I saw, and I know people get tired of hearing my stories, but I get new, these people, she has never heard my story. Christy's never heard my story.
I've never heard your story.
Right?
Lay it on me.
I get comments all the time, like, stop talking, Jason. But I want to, I believe we choose our parents, and that's the hardest thing for the pick because my son Liam, before he was born, I saw him years before he was born. It was literally the week I was moving out of my parents' house to get into my first house with my wife. We were getting married, and I saw this middle of the day translucent boy, but I could see details of his face in that, walk up to me and smile. And he's about the age he is now. And he walked up to the living room, smiled at me. I had the only time I've ever felt anything like this was the time I got saved by God. When I was being attacked by this thing when I was 18. Only other time I felt that feeling of just this warmth. It's like warmth. It's like pure compassionate love. It's like being a child that's been scared and you're suddenly held by your grandmother and that love. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's that just pure compassionate, overwhelming love. Entered the room and I saw my son before he was born. And then when my wife held him, when they first pulled him out from a C-section, they put him up to her head. He smiled at me. And I knew right there. That's the kid. He's my youngest.
That's so
And he told my wife when he was 3 that he chose us.
He did?
Yep. And he's also had past life memories and are not so great either.
Right. Yeah, mine too.
They're World War II ones. And he's actually named a battlefield without knowing any of that.
Oh.
So we don't belong to any religion or anything like that. I study a lot of different religions, but in this household, we're definitely believers in reincarnation.
Yeah, good. That's good. My grandparents, when I was growing up, my paternal grandparents wanted me so bad to be Christian. My grandpa was a deacon at the Stony Point Christian Church in Kansas City, Kansas, and my grandma was a church lady. She made cakes for everybody's weddings, and they were very involved in their church, and they really wanted me to be Christian. And to me, I didn't get it. It was like, I don't understand how this works. What this guy died for me? Well, I never asked him to. That didn't make sense. But when I was, I don't know, maybe 13, my mom was taking my brother and me to the Unitarian Universalist Church, the Unitarians, and the Shawnee Mission Unitarian Society. And the minister there was doing a series on world religions, and I happened to catch his sermon on Zen Buddhism. He talked about the cycle of karma and rebirth, and all of a sudden I'm like, that makes sense. This Christianity stuff is ridiculous. It doesn't make sense, but this rebirth and
that's
karma,
because humans have screwed it up.
We screwed it up. Jesus is an awesome dude. I love Jesus, but the Christianity.
Well, they wrote out reincarnation. They wrote out a lot of stuff, especially with angels. Saying the whole book of Enoch thrown out. I'm saying a lot's been thrown out of and changed. So like I believe in Jesus Christ, but I wouldn't call myself a Christian because I don't believe the Old Testament's God.
Right.
I don't think that's. I think Jesus Christ was a rebellion against that.
Yeah.
My opinion. That's just my opinion. I could be completely wrong, and I have no problem. I have friends on here that are they're Christians, and I respect anybody of any faith. Who am I to judge anybody? Who are you? Who is anybody else?
I love that. I love that philosophy.
This way we all should have. Why be an a-hole and think you know everything? Because I sure as hell don't.
Right.
So many people can't just have a conversation about the religion or anything without getting like so attached to something, to the idea of it, or that they got to defend it. You don't need to defend anything. Just have a conversation. You believe this and they believe that. We'll find out eventually who's right.
That's just
or we won't. The answer's 42. I don't know.
42, yes. Yes, I agree. Well, the whole basis of Buddhism is that suffering is caused by attachment. So attachment to my story, attachment to my religion, attachment to I must be right, you must be wrong, that the other is bad. And yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of that going on.
Way too much.
Yeah. But that's what I see. And like I see a spiritual awakening happening. I see more people having conversations like we are, talking about these encounters with things that are beyond them, like miracles and entities, and that there's more of that awakening. But at the same time, there's also this sickness of us attaching ourselves to identity politics or culture war bullcrap, or getting caught up in anger and hate. These are the things that separate us and pull us farther away from the God, in my opinion. And it's like these angel encounters, near-death experiences, these things are stories that people need to hear to understand there's so much more to any of that stupid crap you guys argue about all the time.
We need angel encounters. We need this in our life. We need to know that there's hope. We need to know that there are benevolent beings who are rooting for us and want us to succeed and want us to be happy. And they surround us and they help us, they guide us, they teach us. I think everybody needs this, this story that there is hope. We can have hope. Right now, things are hard. We were just talking about the Schumann resonance and the solar flares and the, craziness and the retrogrades and blah, 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 the eclipse energy and the blah, 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 all that stuff. And just to know that that is not all there is, that is only part of the iceberg, and we do have help, and we don't have to do this alone. And the world is not just like this little bitty piece of it that we see and we think we know. It's so much more expansive. We are so much more than we think we are. There's so much more to the universe than what we can see with our eyes. We all need this message. I mean, seriously.
I agree. I mean, 100%. And again, that was the kind of the wake-up call of COVID. Now, we got like 10 minutes before we go to our next commercial break. Do you have like a particular or favorite encounter you like to tell on shows at all? Or
I have a couple. Okay.
You go ahead. You got about one for 10 minutes. And then
okay.
Commercial break.
So there is one from Stephen in Manchester, UK. Now, he wrote this out in an email to me because he wanted me to read it. He thought his accent would be distracting, as if I love accents.
Me too.
Right? So, but what was so cute is peppered with all kinds of British words. And in the book, I say, well, for the U.S.
You want to make sure the accent comes through the paper, right?
I didn't want to change it for him, so I wrote out the American words from the American audience in the book. Anyway, so he is a delivery driver for what they call white goods, what we call appliances. And so he'd go out with his lorry, his truck, with his brother, and they deliver these appliances together. And they were setting out one day, and he had to get up at dark 30, and he gets in the truck and he starts crying, like sobbing. And he couldn't figure out why. I have no reason to be crying, but he felt tremendously sad. Like maybe there was going to be a funeral, somebody was going to die, but it made no sense. And yet he couldn't stop crying. Goes to pick up his brother to make these deliveries, and his brother goes, "Hey, mate, what's going on? What's wrong with you?" He says, "I don't know. I can't stop crying." And the brother said, "Okay, well, did anything happen?" "No." "Have you talked to anybody who had bad news?" "No." "Did you read the news? Was there something bad?" "No." He says, "Okay, allergies? Could it be allergies? Did you change anything in your environment?" "No new shampoo, no new."
But is he feeling it? Is he feeling like the emotion of crying?
Sad, but
so
not.
He's feeling the emotion. Okay.
But he still didn't quite identify why he was feeling that emotion, if that makes sense. So he was like, "Yes, there's this sadness, but I don't know why I'm sad." So it was the weirdest thing. So they get to where they're going to deliver the first shipment. They get out of the truck and he stops crying. They Don't know what's going on with that. They get the homeowner to sign off on the ticket, get back in the truck, and he starts crying again. Cannot figure it out. So this goes on for a while. And then they've got to make this delivery out to the hinterlands, the rural area.
Yeah.
There's this twisty, turvy, swervy road, and a bunch of switchbacks because there's a bunch of hills. And he's just sobbing, and he can't even see the road. So he's like, "This is ridiculous. This is dangerous." He pulled over on the shoulder of the road to collect himself, and the steering wheel was held on by like one thread. If he had tried to take any of those curves, they would have been dead. So this was a story of, he never really had an angel visit, but something was making him cry so that he had to pull over.
Right.
And save their life. Ended up saving his life and his brother's life. So that's a cool story. Is it an angel? I don't know.
The force, God. If you felt what I felt, you would cry. It'd be an overwhelming emotion, but it wouldn't be sadness as much as just like maybe sadness for thinking about how, I don't know. That, when you realize that kind of connection, I don't know. But there's some of these people have these experiences like he did, where it's just pure emotion that just does something like that.
Yeah.
Saves them.
It's strange. So, emotion is energy, and energy is just the unseen force in the universe. Energy is the force. Energy is God. God is energy. Like, that's how I see it. God is energy. And so it's easy for our guides and our angels that are with us and our loved ones, to our ancestors, as in your story, to send us things that are energetic because it's just easier for them. They do not have physical bodies. The physical world is dense for them to manipulate or to move things around. But man, they can sure show up and shift energy. So he received this energy of sadness. He didn't identify with it at all. Didn't know where it came from, but it was causing him to have this reaction that saved their life. Ooh, Zariana Trudel. I've had a lot of past lives and had to write it down. Good. Yeah.
It's the best thing you should do. I'm horrible though. I never wrote mine down. I just know them. They're like scarred in my memory because they were so traumatic when I had them. But yeah, writing them down is always the best way. And Zariana is a YouTube channel member, so if I try to catch them, even though my mouse is bad, if you're a YouTube channel member, then I just get this notification. Go away. YouTube channel members, I make sure you get your comments up there.
Nice.
Or super chats.
Super chats. Yeah, I love questions. I'll do some of these interviews and there'll be people calling in. It's always so much fun to hear.
Well, after this commercial break, we'll open up the phone lines for people to call in. Now, you are intuitive, you are, all that stuff, but people are going to be like, hey, can you tell me blah, blah, blah? You're not going to do like a reading or anything like that if they call in, correct?
Probably not.
Okay, because people will try. People ask, can't blame them.
I know. I have a woman who calls me every year, once a year, wants to know if a certain guy's talking or thinking about her. And I'm like, you want to pay for a session? I'd be happy to do a session, but I'm not giving this stuff away.
And I'd be honest with her, like, really, honey, don't waste your time trying to spend money on some guy thinking if he's thinking about you. Even if I tell you he is or isn't, what does that change? Some people are really sad.
Well, and my
sad and lonely.
Integrity. I work with the utmost integrity. I always try to do everything I do with integrity. It's not in my integrity to ask somebody what they're thinking, and if they haven't given their permission for that. I don't go into somebody's house without them knowing. No.
You might want to know like your past lives, secrets of the universe, 42, stuff like that. No, I want to know what this ex of mine was thinking. That's people. That's humans. I'm sorry.
I know, it's silly.
But that's what I'm saying. People do get into that kind of. That's what I'm saying. We need more self-reflection. We need more ideas about like, hey, maybe you should ask like, why was I connected to this guy in a past life? If I've been connected to this guy in a past life, why do I keep focusing on this guy?
What is my path?
Like, move on.
Right? What am I learning here?
Yeah.
Everything is about learning, and it's about experiences. And what is my lesson that I'm getting out of this guy? What is my lesson I get out of this past life that I've viewed or that I've experienced, right? I found out, do I have time for another quick story?
We have like 3 minutes.
3 minutes. Okay, this is quick. So I used to have this pain behind my left shoulder blade and nothing would touch it. I would get massages and everything. It would just not go. But one day I found this new massage therapist, and she was really good. She's working on that shoulder, and all of a sudden I have a flashback to another lifetime. I'm a man. It's nighttime. It's dark. It's raining, and I've got this ruffle shirt on and the tall boots and the little knicker things, and I'm holding with this hand, holding the reins of this horse and I'm really, really angry, and I'm beating the horse, and the horse rears up and pulls my shoulder out of the socket, and all of a sudden my pain was gone because I touched the anger.
I need that. See, I've had like this, like 8 or 9 years, this neck and issue, and that's why I had Chris Lee do it. And I did have like this regression where I saw myself as a woman in this like left to die and rot in this like cell dungeon, and I had a chain I wrapped around my neck and basically just ended it. Finally hung myself with the chain, but they had broken my hands too. But he said, that's why your neck's messed up. And it felt like it popped during it, like my neck popped during the session, which was weird. But that pain, I'm still going to chiropractor. I still have issues on neck. So he's like, we might need to do more, like could be a couple past lives related to your neck. I'd love to have that kind of relief, because when you have that kind of pain, whew.
Oh, no, that's not, especially necks. Oof, yeah. But I would talk to that woman, tell her that she's safe now, that she did the best she could, and that you forgive her for taking her life. See what that does.
I'll give anything a shot for this neck issue to go away.
Right?
I mean, I go to chiropractor. I'm actually like it adds up money wise, man. Like, I don't want to keep going and spend the money on it. And I keep, it's like a relief when I do it, but then it just comes right back. Mm-hmm. So, that's why I say these things, like, there's a lot of ailments people have. It could be past life related. We got to go to commercial break, though. Our guest tonight is Christi Hoffman. She is the author of Real Life Alien Encounters. And I got a few of you already know who want to call in. When we come back from this commercial break, I'll open up the phone lines. Love to hear about your encounters tonight, or anything. If you got a question for our guest, if you don't have an angel encounter or alien encounter, whatever, it doesn't matter. You don't have to have any encounter. You can call in and just join the conversation. That's fine. But just wait till we come back from this commercial break with our guest, Christi Hoffman, author of Real Life Alien Encounters. You see, I'm going to say alien. See, that's my mind. Real Life Angel Encounters. I actually accidentally wrote down when I was doing my notes, alien, and had to scratch it out and put angel. That's my brain. I'm sorry. Aliens, angels, tomato, I don't know. We'll be back after this short commercial break.
Combined effects of sensory deprivation and hallucinatory drugs. The subject of the experiment is himself, and the experiment is out of control. Ken Russell's Altered States, a film that must not be missed, is in the West End now. Altered States, Certificate X.
Do you wish for more paranormal and spiritual content? The Paranormal Chronicles magazine is a free digital magazine crammed with the very best in paranormal and spiritual articles and features. No sign-up, no subscription, just free reading and knowledge for you. Read today at www.paranormalchronicles.com/magazine.
Join us every Wednesday night at midnight Eastern Standard Time for Weird Wednesday, the live stream, with your hosts Jamie, the Living Dead Girl, and Rob, the Phantom, where we'll talk about all things paranormal, including zodiac, astrology, tarot card and oracle card readings, live ghost boxing and spirit communication, where we'll do Voices from Beyond, the Cold Case Files. So we hope you join us live on Facebook and YouTube every Wednesday night at midnight Eastern Standard Time. We hope to see you there. Bye-bye.
Paranation Magazine is a new paranormal magazine based out of Denver, Colorado. Our goal isn't just to give you the best paranormal content out there, but to promote paranormal unity. We're doing this by giving everyone an opportunity to tell their stories and to share their experiences. For more information, follow us on Facebook at Paranation Magazine and soon, paranationmag.com.
I've Never Met a Dead Person I Didn't Like is the extraordinary travels of a young, alone, and broke psychic in the highly anticipated new book from internationally renowned psychic, medium, medical intuitive, and best-selling author Sherry Dillard. Critics have described I've Never Met a Dead Person I Didn't Like as an engrossing memoir, an empowering story of how a broken girl came to accept her psychic gift, a refreshing and fun read. I've Never Met a Dead Person I Didn't Like is available through Amazon, Kindle, Barnes & Noble, and wherever books are sold.
Wrote Spirits of the Dead with a pen dipped in warm blood. You will see the ultimate in terror with this important all-star cast. Brigitte Bardot, Alain Delon, Jane Fonda, Terence Stamp, and Peter Fonda in Edgar Allan Poe's Spirits of the Dead. Only Poe's demented genius could bring to the screen such horror and evil. Spirits of the Dead stars Brigitte Bardot, Alain Delon, Jane Fonda, Terence Stamp, and Peter Fonda. Directed by three masters of the cinema, Federico Fellini, Louis Malle, and Roger Vadim. Spirits of the Dead is an adventure in terror beyond your wildest nightmares. Spirits of the Dead in color is rated R.
Question of life, the universe, and everything is 42. Yes, I thought it over quite thoroughly. It is, it's 42. It would have been simpler, of course, to have known what the actual question was.
But it was the question. The ultimate question. Of everything.
That's not a question. Only when you know the question will you know what the answer means.
You're listening to Paranormal Soup, bringing you the weird every Sunday night. Call into the show and join the discussion. The call-in lines are 219-230-4444 or 260-225-9419 or by Skype caller ID OOJBland00 or JBland Paranormal Soup. And now to your host, Jason Bland.
Tonight's guest is Christi Hoffman. We're talking about real-life angel encounters. Angel encounters, not alien. Like I can't believe it that. But I am opening up the phone lines because I know some of you guys out there have had your own miracles, encounters, angels, or otherwise. And or you might want to just join this conversation with our guest, Christi Hoffman, author of Real-Life Angel Encounters. That's fine. Phone lines are open. Just bear with me. I might have to call you back if you call in, because I have janky phone lines. It's my cheap setup. And sometimes it just wants to call in and not give me a chance to answer. So I will call you back if you call in. Just be prepared for a call back. I got to start telling people that now since it's been really janky on me. But phone lines are there. I'll have them on the screen for you guys. People listening on the radio, 219-230-4444. That's the easiest line to call in. But let's go ahead and get back to our guest as soon as I can get my mouse to work. There he comes. Somewhere. Here. There it is. Okay. Thank you for staying with us tonight, Christi. The phone lines are open, guys. Let me get the banner up there so people have the numbers.
Awesome. And I would like to add, Jason, my name is Christi Clemons Hoffman.
Hoffman.
Yeah, there are so many Christi Hoffmans out there, you have no idea.
All right, I remember Christi Clemons Hoffman.
You want to find me? I'm Christi Clemons Hoffman. Yeah.
All right, sorry.
No worries.
All right, so we're talking about real-life angel encounters tonight, and I know I'm probably going to have a few people. I got to keep my eye to the phone lines here to see who wanted to call in. I know, Ziriana, yeah, I'm looking for you. I know you're going to call in. I saw somebody else, Marie, I think it was. We'll try to get your lines in and talk about it. Because, I mean, we've all had these experiences. Some call them miracles. Some call them, encounters, angel encounters. You said in all these experiences, none of them really had wings, right? None of them were like your typical. They weren't. What's his name from? I was gonna give a great. What's his name from? Rolling Prairie guy. Whatever. Oh, what was that show when we were kids?
Oh,
Michael Landon.
Touched by an Angel.
Michael. Yeah. Was it Michael Landon? Right.
I think so.
Was it an angel? Yeah, something like that. We didn't have Michael Landon walking out, and saving you or anything like that. I mean, it seems like a lot of these, like this one guy, he had like the emotion or, come through and save him in that instance. But is it, do you have people like seeing somebody that shouldn't be there? Because I mean, we've had people call in with those experiences.
That too, yeah. This is not in this book. I am aiming to make the Real Life Angel Encounters book a series, so it'll probably be in the next book. There was this woman, she asked me to call her Kathy and use another name, but she had seen 3 winged angels. Highway to Heaven. Thank you, Craig. Thank you.
Thank you, Craig.
But this woman had seen 3 angels with wings showing up in her kitchen while she's making tuna fish salad. And then there was another woman, Erin, who she had 2 winged angels show up to her outside the Nelson Atkins Museum here in Kansas City and just kind of lift her up and support her as she was walking.
There's the missed call.
But most of the stories are other things. So people who show up, miraculous synchronicities, visits from loved ones. What else?
Those are my favorite ones, though. I mean, like my favorite.
Really?
Like I tell people, like I get, doing this, and I'm open about it at my work and other places. Even my district manager knows I do this show. Jesus, it's just I get people telling me their stories, and the most common ones. I mean, I get UFOs and I get ghost haunted house stories people have experienced that. But the most common one is like my so and so loved one died, and they came to me.
Yeah.
That's like the most, and I always feel so touched because it's such a personal experience. And a lot of times I'll hear from people, I've never told anyone this,
Right. I get that a lot.
We do have somebody on the phone line, I hope. I had to call him back because it did that exact thing. And it always does it to her. It always does it to Ziriana. Are you there, Ziriana?
Yes, I am, Jason.
Yeah, I saw your number pop up and it just missed call. It's like, doesn't even give me a chance to answer it.
Yeah, it goes to voicemail.
I don't know.
I had commented, yeah, it's okay. Call me back.
You know the deal.
Yeah, anyway, I had sent a comment to Marie K., who wrote about a couple of her past lives.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah, I've been watching some of that, yeah.
Yeah, I know she wants to call in after.
Yeah, definitely.
I do. That was mentioned in there.
Yeah.
But I wanted to say or give this nice guest, very nice guest, one of my angel encounters. I think I've mentioned it before, but she hasn't heard it, so.
It's fine. I tell my stories every night on this show. Every Sunday night, I'm repeating my stories to guests.
Yeah.
Guys are like, Jesus, Jason.
Yeah, I just worry if people get tired of hearing the same.
Me too, but I don't.
I haven't heard it yet.
She hasn't heard it.
All right. Well, good evening, and my story is that it's not a story, a personal experience that I used to when my granddaughters were born. They're very special. They have gifts and various talents and things. And my youngest granddaughter, who was like maybe a month old, maybe at the time, she was in her crib, or bassinet, or whatever it was, right? And I went to check on her, and as soon as I went up the stairs to the room, I knew something was different. I had this like really weird feeling, you know, not a bad feeling, but a good thing. And so I looked in the room, and there was this brilliant, I cannot describe it or do her justice, but her beautiful angel who was over her and talking to her, and I don't know, I won't say the other word, but, you know, just watching over her.
Yeah.
And I saw her, and like I said, in this brilliant yellow, I can't even describe the color. It was so, you know, it wasn't, you know, it was that awesome. Wow. And I stood in the doorway, and I was watching her, and she looked at me, and she, you know, was a little surprised that I saw her. And I said, "Oh, I'm sorry, I'll leave you alone." And she said something in her language, which in angels have a very different language than it's not human, you know. And she told me her name, but it was in her language. And don't even ask me to pronounce it, because, you know, or even try to spell it. But she was there, and she told me not to worry. She was always going to watch over her and take care of her and guide her to whatever, you know, she needed and stuff. But what I can't, I said, "Thank you very much." And I said, "You know, thank you for showing yourself to me. And, you know, I'm sorry I bothered you," and the whole thing, you know. Now, like I said, I can't describe just the brilliance of this angelic person, you know, female. And my other granddaughter has a blue one, and I have seen her.
A blue angel?
But it's almost like it radiates. The angels that I see, they radiate this color. You know, they're blue, but they're like, they have silver. They're shiny. It's glitter. I can't even describe it. It's that, you know. I wouldn't do it. You know, I wouldn't explain it right. But But I did thank them. I do see angels, and I work with angels, and I have my favorites. But it's always a blessing to see them, to, you know, to try to communicate with them, and try to and try to communicate in a loving way, and seek wisdom and whatever messages that they give. Now, these were not their guardian angels. That was different, and that was explained. These were the other angels who had never been in a human form. And I know that there are different levels in the angelic realm.
Yes.
But I don't know where they, I don't know what number they were, what level they were.
Right.
But it was, you know, like I said, you know, I always remember, I always say thank you, I always, you know, but that's my personal experience with angels, at least those two.
That is wonderful. Can I ask a few questions?
Yes.
So this angel that you saw, or one of these angels that you saw, was speaking light language, or whatever language that is native to that angel, and yet you knew what she was saying, or you knew what they were saying. How is that?
Well, yeah, it's telepathy.
Okay, that's
so,
what I'm at.
Yeah. A lot of the stuff that I do, it's all telepathy.
Mm-hmm.
And it's almost like you don't need a voice anymore. You can just communicate with your mind, you know?
Yeah, but you heard a voice and it was a different language.
Yes, I did. Yes, I did.
Very interesting. And then another question I have for you is, what do you feel these angels were doing with or for your grandchildren?
Well, my 2 grandchildren were born with gifts. And when, before they were born, I knew what their gifts were. I knew what one of my granddaughter's names was her magical name. I'm a witch, so I knew her magical name, and that came to me. And so I knew right from the beginning, even before I got to hold her, that it was, you know, it was something special that, you know, that they were born, you know?
Right. I mean, we're all born with these gifts. We truly are. All of us are born with these gifts. Just like we are all born and we can sing, right? You open your mouth and sounds come out. You can raise and lower the pitch. But just like being able to sing, even though we've got the abilities that we're born with, some of us are more naturally gifted at it than others. Just like singing, some people are right off the bat, they're just born being better singers than others. But then, to continue this analogy, we can improve. We can learn to strengthen our gifts, just like we can strengthen our voice. We can train our gifts, just like we train our voice. And so we can, you know, we can take the gifts that we're given when we're born, and we can either use them and develop them and grow them, or we can just let them go dormant or stagnant. And about the age of 7, these gifts just naturally tend to fall away for most kids. Some kids, you know, some kids are an exception, but for most kids, then they lose that ability about the age of 7. But yeah, we're all born with the 4 clairs, and we have them in just varying degrees. Mine was primarily clairvoyance and claircognizance. The clairaudience, and then the last one to come in was my clairsentience. And that's an interesting story about that too. But you know, I used to teach college. I taught college at the University of Missouri, Kansas City, and I taught English, like rhetoric and writing. And I would always give a learning style assessment at the beginning of each semester, because there are learning styles too. And we can have all of the learning styles in varying degrees, just like we can have the clairs in varying degrees. I always want to find out when I'm working with people, what's your primary gift, what's your secondary gift, what's your tertiary gift, and then which one is last, and then help people understand what those gifts are and work with
I've
them.
never been able to figure that one out for myself. For a little
Well, I used to also do oracle, angelic oracle cards.
Yeah.
Angelic oracle, the original ones. Then they changed it, and doesn't have the same thing. I don't like those. The vibrations in them.
No, I have it.
In the new one.
When I did tarot, one of my favorite decks to use was my Angel Tarot deck.
Yeah.
But you know, one of the reasons I did is the minor arcana are just like a playing card deck.
Yeah.
Pictures, and it just let my mind form the pictures.
Mm-hmm.
In a sense. It's weird.
Well, even with the angelic oracle cards, I wasn't reading. I was always channeling, getting the messages. So the cards were just for the people if I was reading.
Exactly.
It's just a visual thing for, you know, your clients, you know, any people that you're reading, you know?
Right. Because you can't argue with cards, right? When something is telling you on the face, it's like, well, you see, this is the answer I would give you anyway. But here you can see it, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Ariana, is that your name?
Azariana.
Ariana. Okay. Would
Azaria,
you
Aziri, put a Z in there. Aziriana.
Azaria. Oh, okay, thank you. I totally messed that up. I'm so sorry. I apologize. Please email me at angelencounterspodcast@gmail.com, because I would love to bring you on the show, the Real Life Angel Encounters podcast. And then maybe story in an upcoming book. So
Jamie or Jason, can you forward something in that for me?
Yeah, I'll send you her email. Is
Or
that
the
all right if I
email?
just give you the email I have for you?
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, you've got my author email, but my Angel Encounters email is different, and that's fine. It gets to me either way.
Okay. I'll just make sure you should get some way to contact you.
Okay.
Reach out to me and schedule you to tell that story, because I think it's important. I think, the more variety of stories that we can get,
exactly,
that it just shows all of the different ways that we are supported, and that's what I put into the Real Life Angel Encounters book. I wanted to have a large variety in the book, because when you go back and read it and take your time, and maybe I like to make little notes in the margins. I like to the pages. I like to underline things. So, but when you're doing that, you can really focus on the stories. And I wanted the stories to all be.
Well, it's something I talk about on the show.
Stories too. Azariana is wonderful.
Oh yeah.
Wonderful.
Thank you. Well, like I said, if you could forward something with your email, because
I'll get it to
I
you,
can't
Sherry.
type and I'm not that technically inclined, but
I'll
I
get it
can't
to you.
type. But I'll definitely look for you and and hope to talk to you further.
If I forget, Ziriana, if I forget to send it to you, just hit me up and go, hey, you got that?
Okay.
That email for
Here's my
Christi.
information.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll do.
All right.
And blessings to everybody.
All right, Ziriana.
Blessings.
You have a great one.
Have a great night. Bye-bye.
She's the one that got me the book, The Quickening. She sent me just a couple weeks ago, a few weeks ago, a copy of The Quickening that's signed by Art Bell.
Oh my God.
You don't know how big that was to me. You know how big that is to me.
I
how
do.
huge. I'm a book fan for one. I'm a huge book. I've always wanted one. I also want to find a copy, and signed or not, of his other book, The Art of Talk. I want a copy of that. But just to have a copy of The Quickening was awesome, let alone the fact that he signed it.
Holy moly. That's quite a gift.
Yeah. Ziriana, she's awesome.
That is so great.
But the phone lines are open. I know Marie, I think it was you, right? I think it was her that wanted to call in. Give it a shot. 219-230-4444 should be the best, easiest one. If it doesn't try to hang up on you. If it hangs up on you, goes to voicemail like it did to Ziriana, I will call you right back.
You're having all kinds of technical difficulties tonight, Jason.
I've been having this one for a while. I have a cheap setup. It's, I don't have like a studio phone system. It's a cell phone wired into a mixing board, and there's two of them, and the other one doesn't want to work anymore, it seems like.
Well,
It's like one's a Google Voice number, one's this other one I call is a sideline I pay for.
Yeah, the Google Voice numbers, I can rarely...
this one, it let me answer. Good.
See,
it's some of Ziriana. It's like, no. And I'm like, yes. It's like, every Sunday night we have to have a Ziriana. I don't know why he does that. Who do we got on the line?
Oh, it's Marie.
Hey, Marie. Ooh, I got to turn you down there. How you doing? Thank you for calling in.
You're welcome, Jason. I was wondering, I do have an angel story.
Yay.
I thought so.
By the way. Yes. My angel, my guardian angel, is named Angelique.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah, she appeared to me when I was a year old or 2 years old.
Wow.
And told me her name at age, when I was a little bit older than that. And I've also had several past lives. I don't know with her or what are angels exactly.
That's
what
a
are
great
angels
question.
exactly? Okay. So my answer is that angels are spiritual beings. Most angels have not been human before. They are beings that are assigned to humans to help us. Now, archangels, those certainly have not been human before. There are two important exceptions, though, in the archangels, and that is Metatron and Sandalphon in the angel pantheon. Now, Metatron had been Enoch in the Bible, and Sandalphon had been Elijah in the Bible. Those two have been human before, and they ascended. When they ascended, Archangel Haniel gave them both these funny angel names that don't match the regular naming convention. Most archangels have names that end in L. Michael, Raphael, Gabriel, but these two.
Elohim. Sorry.
Well, that's something else. But these two, Metatron and Sandalphon, have been human before, and so that's why they got these funny names. But the angels are beings that are here to help us and guide us. And there is a hierarchy. Angels, archangels are like mid-level managers. And the reason that they're not the highest order is because they do help humans, and they need to be a little bit closer to us in frequency in order to help us. There's also ascended masters, and I've got a whole chapter in the book about guardian angels, archangels, ascended masters, and then interfaith, what I call interfaith, that Jason, you mentioned before, Buddhism, Judaism, Islam, Zionism, all of these different religions talk about their angels. And so it's not just all Christian, and it's not even religious, really, but there are ascended masters too. What's that?
Oh, what Craig is saying here, the L from the Elohim, you know.
God, okay.
Yeah.
Got it. That makes, yes, absolutely. That makes sense. I thought you were referring to that as an angel. But yeah, that's...
Like,
that's,
there's in the mythology, you know, like Satan was an angel, but some people in the mythology have said, well, he took the L from Satan because Satan fell, right? That's the original name of Satan.
I didn't know that. That makes sense. Satan now. Oh, that makes a lot of sense.
I love I'm not an expert on any of that, but I do love reading about it, about like the mythology of angels and like Metronon and, you know, same becoming Enoch becoming a human, becoming an angel. Something that's fascinating me. The book of Enoch and the whole deal is fascinating. Sorry. You keep talking.
I have another question. I'm sorry.
No, you keep talking.
What's your question?
About past lives, is it normal to switch like roles for your past lives?
Oh yeah. Are you talking about like this time I'll be the husband, you be the wife, next time you be the sister, I'll be the wife? Oh yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely, 1000%. So we travel in what I call families. Yeah, we travel in soul families. And soul families are just a cluster of souls. We help each other. We help each other have experiences. We help each other learn. We help each other live our lessons. And we have to take a variety of roles. We have to have all the experiences. We have to be black, white, brown, green. You know, we have to be everything. We have to be rich, poor, victim, perpetrator. We have to do all of these things. And yeah. If you've ever seen that show Community, I love that show. It's hilarious. But it's about...
Is that the one?
I haven't seen it.
Is that the one with...
Joel Hale and
Joel
Chevy
Hale.
Chase?
Yeah, I've never seen it.
Oh.
It's funny. It's these people, it's these adults in a community college. And the first season, they're all in Spanish class together. And it's a terrible, terrible class. But so they decide they needed to study together. And they form a study group. Now, every season after that, they're all taking different classes, but they all come together in their study group. And that's how I see soul families. That it's a group.
That's a great analogy.
I think so. Right? We're all studying different things. We're all learning different things, but we come together and help each other study.
Yeah, like my boyfriend David, he taught me love.
Perfect.
And people... And he decided to, I don't know if I could say I'll just say unalive himself.
Oh.
But I don't know what his soul was doing.
It was his journey.
Yeah.
So, and I'm very, very psychic in this life.
You probably attract people to you who need some of your light.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's very
He
common.
always had the smile, and I have dreams about him.
So here's the thing about dream visits. Many times the dream visits feel more real than real. I had a dream.
Yes, they do.
There's a feeling to them.
Mm-hmm. I had a dream visit from my dog Milu. And I could feel her fur. I could feel the cold wetness of her nose. It was so
I had
real.
my grandmother and my aunt. My great
Oh,
aunt.
wow.
They were
Really?
sisters. They were
Yeah.
sisters. And my grandmother passed
Yeah.
first, but when my Aunt Leona...
My mom, she was very, very like my soulmate.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Oh, man. Well, there's a reason that these dreams feel so real, and there's a reason why our loved ones will visit us in the dream state. It's because it's when we're asleep, it's our body that needs rest. Our soul does not need rest. Our psyche does not need rest. So we're free to travel. We can come and go, and we can learn and visit and things like that. And it's easy for our loved ones to visit us when we're asleep because our conscious mind is not saying, oh, you're making this up. Oh, that can't be real. Oh, it's wishful thinking. Right? So our conscious out of the way.
Right.
It's super easy for them to visit us. And they're pure positive energy. They're visiting us as pure positive energy when our body's otherwise occupied. So it's super easy for them to visit us then. Now the thing is, I also teach a class called Love Never Dies. And I know that when we are deep in grief, active grief, it's a bit harder for us to perceive our loved ones because our frequency is so low.
Right.
So we need to have a high frequency. And they do need to lower their frequency a little bit to meet us.
Those are the times I get the most visitations from my dad. And I have so many signs and I just know it's him. But it's when I'm in the most desperate grief feeling when he comes around, and he'll be in my dreams and I know it.
Wow. Yeah, that's a little unusual. But unless, of course, you're needing your dad. You need help.
That's her connection. You know, some people have their way. They connect with a certain
Okay, I'm going to go, so...
Oh, thank you, Marie, for calling in.
Thank you for calling.
Because I'm being mic shy again.
Oh, don't ever be on this show. We love you.
Thank you, all of you. Bye now.
But yeah, I mean, like these encounters it's like the near-death experience I always am fascinated by. And I've had guests on here on that topic. I'd love to have others like the guy you mentioned earlier.
David Ditchfield.
David Ditchfield.
I can connect you.
Please. I say that, and then I've been on the show for 10 years, and there's a possibility I've had him on the show and completely forgot. But I don't think I have. This is so bad. But...
Lovely.
You know, people are like, why can't I remember my past life? Dude, I can't remember a guest I've had like 10 years ago.
What I ate this morning.
But these near-death experiences, when people have them, like they'll see their body broken, right? At death.
Yeah.
But they're detached from it.
Yeah.
They're at calm. They're at peace. And the reason I think is they're feeling that presence I felt that saved me. It's that force, God, whatever, because it's like overwhelming knowing that everything is fine.
And most of them don't want to come back to their broken body.
You feel what I felt. I don't know why people do, except for the fact is if I was in that state right now, something like that happened to me, the only thing is people seem very detached in this moment, and they know loved ones are hurting or crying, but they're kind of detached from it. I know my reason of coming back is my family, you know.
Yeah.
I came back for my mom, even though I
exactly.
Just one way.
Jamie had her near-death experience.
Oh, really? Oh, wild.
And that was her reason for coming back, was she didn't want to see her mom. And there's other people who have said that too. You know, sometimes that there's like this attachment, no care about ourself or the body, but those connections, those soul groups.
Right.
You know, those people that we're connected to that we want to come back, spend that journey with them.
Right.
That's part of the love. I think love brings people back, basically, is what I'm saying.
Well, and two, if it's not our time, there's plenty of stories of people who've had near-death experiences, and their
Right.
loved
Been
ones.
told they have to come back.
Sorry, you got to go back.
Yep.
I don't want to. Right?
But that makes sense. I mean, because if you feel this way, you get there and you're like, wow, why would I want to go back to that? Especially if you can see your body's broken, like it's going to be a rough journey coming back. A lot of people are like, no, I don't want to go back to that. And there's some guide, angel or whatever, telling them, no, it's not your time. You got to go back. And then there's other experiences where people are given a choice.
Right. Yeah, that's true. That's true.
It's so fascinating to me, the mechanisms of what's going on here in the universe. 42. No. But,
Jamie, you have a choice?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Right. So go ahead, Jamie. We're telling our stories. You can tell yours. I know it's hard. You don't like to talk about it so much. But...
I had an ex-husband that was on drugs, and he was trying to choke me out and sitting on top of me and managed to get me to, pass out. I was like watching the floor, and as he was doing this, because I couldn't look at his eyes anymore, I was just looking at this hanger on the floor. You just get this, like, I thought it was like lack of oxygen to my brain, like white light flash around me, and all of a sudden I just stopped the shaking and the writhing and the fighting it. And I thought, you know what, I'm okay. I can just go with this. And it was kind of making me feel like I wanted to go with it. It was the most euphoric, loving, calming, peaceful, like you just want to drift off into it. And all I started thinking about was, oh my God, this is Mother's Day. My mom tried so hard to have me. I cannot have her remember every Mother's Day that this happened. And so, that they're trying to pull me, and I'm thinking like about my mom, and slowly I'm starting to see that hanger come back into vision again. Well, he had passed out. He was drunk and rolled over. And I started getting the feeling back into my body, and I got up and I left the house and everything. But I probably would have just let it go, because it was so much easier than the fight, everything else that was happening, if it was not for that situation.
Again, she was detached from her own self. Like, she was fine letting herself go.
Yeah.
But the thought came in at some point. She's not detached enough to know, oh, my mom.
Right.
Right? So I do think that does sometimes is in the instance of things that bring people back. It's just weird. It's just like different scenarios, different people have, some people see Jesus, I mean.
Yeah.
So, some people have like the full pearly gates experience. Some people have what Jamie had. It's all different kinds of experiences.
Mm-hmm.
But there seems to be something there, that's at the end of the tunnel.
I think a lot of it has to do with what our beliefs are and what we expect to see at the end of life.
Yeah, that's what What Dreams May Come. I've talked about that movie a billion times on this show. That's one of my favorite movies. And my kids see my DVD of it and ask me, I'm like, I don't know if you're ready for that. Like we talk about it. We're open about, these subjects. It's not about that. It's just so much emotion in that movie and so much going on. And I have the director's cut, which has the Eastern ending, where they show you the whole reincarnation stuff at the end.
Oh, cool. Cool.
That they didn't show in the Western version at first. But eventually they did.
Wow, cool.
Yeah. So, but in that, it's for people that don't know, I haven't seen the movie, spoiler, but, Robin Williams is dead, and he finds that you create your reality from your expectations. His becomes a painting into a real reality in this afterlife. And there's other things, a lot of other things. It's a great movie.
Oh, wow. Wow. When my grandparents, came through the Depression and everything, when my grandmother died, she was agoraphobic in life and a lot of anxiety. When she was dying, she imagined, because she was in a nursing home, and she was imagining that there were pigs screaming, and they tied people up in straitjackets. None of that was happening. But that was
seen
like
it.
her own fears, right?
I've seen that happen in this process.
And my grandfather, when he died, he was a horrible alcoholic and not very present with the family, but he had such peace when he died. He looked out the window and he goes, oh my gosh, look at that beautiful little pear tree. There was no pear tree out there, beautiful or otherwise. And so they had very different experiences based on what their...
Like my grandfather saying life's a joke after not talking for 2 years and then passing,
Wow. Life is a joke.
Yeah. It's according to my aunt, she's now deceased too, and he didn't talk for 2 years because he had dementia, and she would roll him up to this window when she'd visit him, and she rolled him up to the window to look out the window, and he finally spoke, and it was just life's a joke, and he laughed, and it was just 2 hours later, he was gone, died in sleep.
Wow, I love that story. Jason.
I don't know if I love it. I don't know if I love it. I don't know. I've been bothered by it, actually.
Why?
Well, he was a man that had a lot of regrets, I'm sure. He was an alcoholic, but he sobered up. My grandmother died before I was born. She died of alcoholism. And after she died, he sobered up. So he had a lot of problems with his children, a lot of regret, I had a lot of regret with him. We had a distant relationship, and I actually had my own experience during a meditative thing I was doing in my 20s after he had died, where I had a conversation with him. I swear to God, on the other side, on the bank of this river. He was across the river from me. It was a weird experience, but it was him trying to communicate. He's sorry, that we had more of a relationship, basically, is what he was trying to get across to me. And then he kind of came through with my friend Katrina Cooper, the grandfather she brought up, and came right away. She's like, okay, I got somebody coming through with horses. I'm like, oh yeah, that's my grandpa, because he trained Tennessee Walkers, but I didn't tell her that right away. But she got to it eventually. It was my grandpa, but I knew right away, and it was right away that he regretted the relationship, that we didn't have more of a relationship. I'm like, well, that's dead on, that he was trying to get that message through to me in multiple ways. So when he said life's a joke, was that just like, wow, what was this, all this drama and all this pain and things I went through? It's just a joke. I don't know. It bothers me. I'll tell you the truth about it.
There is a book that I think can help put things into perspective, and that is The Little Soul and the Sun by Neil Donald Walsh. Heard of it?
No, I haven't.
It comes from Conversations with God. And Conversations with God is a book that it's essays that he wrote when he was unhoused.
Yeah, now I know the name. Yes.
And so this one story, somebody put it into a children's book, and it's beautiful. It's beautifully illustrated, but it's the story of this little soul that wants to learn forgiveness. And to learn forgiveness, he needed somebody to help him, because you can't learn it by yourself. You need somebody to hold the mirror for you, right? So he, asked his little friends, who's going to help me with this? And another little soul stepped forward and said, I'll help you, because you're my friend and I love you and I want you to be happy and have what you need. What do we do? And so the little soul says, okay, so we're going to have to go back and be alive again, and you're going to have to do something really bad to me, but don't worry, it's okay, because we're having this conversation. But we have to forget that we had this conversation when we get there. What good is the test if you already know the answers? You won't learn anything, so we'll have to forget.
The answer is 42. Yeah.
It's always 42, right? And so sure enough, they go back down to earth. They have different personas, costumes that they wear, and then something bad happens and they both get to the other side. They take their costumes off and say, well, how did that go? And the little soul's so happy because they got to learn forgiveness. So I think of it like that. When we have these difficult relationships, we made an agreement before we came to, let's try one more time to figure this out. Let's try to not be at odds. Maybe last time grandfather was something else.
Well, what I think about it is maybe he felt that moment of what I felt when I was saved, is that just that overwhelming, everything's all right.
Mm-hmm.
There's no judgment. And he let go. And that's what he just said, life's a joke. I don't know.
Well,
I wonder about it a lot.
What if he was thinking that I took things way too seriously? Right?
Or I think what he's thinking, well, maybe I would think, as a father now, my biggest cherished thing I feel the most lucky for is having my children. Is and any time I get to spend with them, I try to cherish. Like this weekend's been great. Is that he missed out on a lot of that. And that'd be my regret if I was him. And it's not a judgment on him. That's the thing. That's, and I think that's the hardest part when people get in this idea. Like I tell them, no judgment. I mean, really mean it.
No judgment. You can't have judgment.
But it's hard for people to grasp with a lot of these concepts because you think of the most evil things you've seen man do, or woman, or anybody, humans do. And it's hard to think there's no price or punishment. There is. And it's not punishment, it's learning. We're all in our different, I try to tell this to my children, we're all in our different paths of the journey. We're all in our different, they're on their own path of their time and their journey, or they're on a different part of the road than you,
Right. And I mean,
it's a hard concept, though.
It's a hard concept because, when people will tell me, but Christi, you don't know what this person did to me. Like, yeah, but what if it was just for the experience?
That's a hard one for people. It's a hard one, really hard one for people to swallow that, I think.
Yeah, I've had people get really upset with me for such a thing.
Yeah. No, I've seen it with other guests I've had on, other mediums that are in this realm that read this off of people and try to help people move beyond these things. And they get a bit, I say they bite back at you, don't they?
Yeah, they do.
Because you're dealing with what some people call their inner demons. Like it's the turmoil of the soul. It's the things they're working on they don't want to look at. Part of these relationships, it's part of the game that has not been revealed to them.
Well, and they're holding on to their stories. Who would I be if I didn't have this story? Who would I be if I was not the victim? Like, that's what they need, is to hold on to that story and have others see them for that story rather than how.
You think it's like them playing a character?
Oh yeah, 100%. And in the book, The Little Soul and the Sun, they both get back up to heaven on the other side, and they show them in their costumes in the costume trunk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But some people wonder if that's there's some people that are kind of like, it's not that they're not souls or anything, but they're almost NPCs. They're like evil. Somebody that's just born purely evil is that they're playing a part in the mechanism of the universe in a sense, right?
What would it be like?
It's hard to imagine that, though. That's another hard concept for people.
Yeah. Dolores Cannon used to say, this stuff is good for people who want to have their mind twisted like a pretzel.
Yeah, it's like it's the same conversation as time travel too. It's like these. It's like it would make my brain hurt if I start talking about time travel. It's the same with this. I mean, Chris Lee. You see my advertisements. I talked about Chris Lee is a friend of mine, and Debbie Anderson is too. She's a medium. She's his wife, and their past life. They openly admit it. They have no problems talking about it. But I've heard when I mention this, when I have this kind of conversation with people, not guests. I'm like actually, conversations with people about past lives. I get cringe from people, but I'm like, but no, that's how it works. They were in another life. He was her father, and she died. I think it was in a drowning accident or something like that happened. And now they're husband and wife, and that's a hard concept for people to get around. It's a weird, awkward thing to us to think of it that way. How these positions can change.
Right, but it's just a role. My bachelor's degree is in theater. I've been in tons of plays. And so, in this show, I'm this character, and another show, I'm another character. And, but you might, especially in college, all of the theater students, we were all in the plays, and we had different roles every show.
Yeah.
So
yeah. And I've said it, it's like, I've also compared it to like the idea of video games, because I'm a big video gamer.
Oh, yeah.
I've been told I'm 40, 40, what am I, 45, 46, 46. I shouldn't be playing video games at this age, but hey, I do. But, in it, if you had all the cheat codes, and you knew how the whole storyline ends to the video game, how long do you think you're going to play that video game? Right?
Exactly.
You know, you're not going to probably going to finish it. You already know how it ends. It's just like a book, too. When you read a book, somebody ruins the ending, you're not going to run it. So it's like you have to have the journey, you know? And I believe in, like, universe reflects itself in ways like fractality, you know, in the sense of that we mimic as above, so below, that we mimic things in life, that writing stories and creating video games and us escapism that we do is part of the nature of the soul. We're always putting ourselves in different characters and journeys and learning from it. Because don't you learn from a book when you become a character in a book and learn a story?
Oh, absolutely. Well, and who would watch a movie or read a book if nothing ever happened to the main character?
Right.
You've got to have that.
Kill your darlings.
Arc. Yeah.
Kill your darlings, as a writer.
You do. You know, and they've got to have challenges and they've got to have growth. I mean, how do you have growth if you don't have a challenge? You don't grow from successes. I mean,
I've had to explain that to my now 13-year-old son so many times because he gets so emotionally involved in some movies and stories we've watched. And I'm like, you got to understand, like, if that character didn't die in it, would there be a story? Would there be anything to happen? It's such as drama, such as life, you know. I might say, you know, wouldn't have a story or an action or movie if that person didn't die, or that poor dog or whatever. It's really animals. If animals die in a movie, I'm like him. It's like I don't watch. Or children.
I agree. I agree.
I'm like, my son's done. I'm done. If it's children, I'm done. And dogs, I'm done. It's hard for me to watch.
Yeah, I understand that it's a story, but nope, I don't have to invite that into my brain.
Yeah. But that's the thing. But that's that, you know, the days of Shakespeare and Plato and everything. Our stories got to have, you know, winners and losers and things, that people that die and the action that happens, you know, and that is, that in a sense, mimicking the whole experience of life in itself.
Right, absolutely. You know, and we only seek to explain things through story and allegory and parable just to understand the human experience and what it is. I mean, that was Joseph Campbell's whole work with mythology, and that's why I love mythology, because just like Shakespeare, there's nothing new under the sun. We see these mythic heroes solving problems that we all have and living through dramas that we all experience. Same thing with Shakespeare.
Campbell was looking for seeing the same story in all the stories. You know,
What's
like
that?
you know, the hero's journey. You know, he's seeing the same story in all the all the stories of it from old. You know, that this is the same archetype. You know, the same story. It's just like Jung. You know, he saw the archetypes. You know, these things, these bases of human consciousness. You know, like that we revolve around. I feel like it's because consciousness is learning constantly. Like they say, AI is learning, right? You know, becoming conscious. That our consciousness is always learning from every little experience everybody's having right now as a collective.
We're all connected, all of us. You know, no, I love that. I think that is, that's the way I see the world too. Is that we're always learning every experience. You know, so we can look at things as to this is happening to me or this is happening for me. When I got laid off from Hallmark, I could have dwelled on it and been very upset. I mean, I really was tired of working corporate, I'll tell you that. But, you know,
Hallmark Corporation, oh boy.
Oh, big company. And oh my God, the stress there, you could cut it with a knife.
My ex-husband's mom used to work for them, and the horror stories and the after holidays, everything.
Yeah. Oh, it was a badge of honor to take work home at night and come on over the weekend, and people would swap one up each other. Oh, I took work home last night. Oh, really? You're lucky I came in the weekend and worked all weekend. So, oh my God, it was just
bunch of damn tryhards.
So it's like
that corporate life.
Screw it. Yeah, they announced that they were going to be laying people off, and I thought, do I hope I get?
There was part of you hoping. There was part of you hoping you get laid off.
Right, exactly. It's like, do I have to stay or go? Right, exactly. So
that to me, that situation feels almost like it was a blessing in disguise, where you feel like at the moment it's a roadblock, or like, why is life doing this to me? It turned into that you wouldn't be where you're at if that didn't happen. But you don't
it's
know.
easier from the outside perspective, or of years later, it's easier to see those things. But when you're thick in it, it's hard to see.
But that's why
it's hard to say, oh, this is just life's challenge. You know, like when the crap is raining, and it's hard. It's really hard to look at things like, oh, this is just life throwing me a challenge. It's just my soul's spiritual journey. This is just
you
part
don't
of
have
it.
to go that far, but you can just
know.
go, this is
But some people
horrible,
can.
but this might be for a better good.
Right.
And just
No, I
try
do.
to-
I'm laughing because I am the constant anxiety worry who's worked on reminding myself of these things. This is just life's challenge. Like don't let anxiety or fear get. Like it's a challenge for me. I'm one of those people who can think of a billion different horrible. I don't need to see Final Destination. I've thought of a billion ways people can die. Yeah, I am. My mom being an insurance agent. That's. I don't know. No, it's not your fault, Mom. It's not. But I'm just saying, no, it was before before she was even insurance agent. I don't know. As I got older, and especially as I had children, I became much more risk assessment kind of guy, worrywart. That I'm working on it. It's part of my spiritual journey right now.
Well, for you, you should work on that.
I
right?
am working on it.
Look at you learning and growing.
All right, we all are. Like I said, who am I? I'm on my journey. You're on yours. Who am I to know who's right about anything? Be it angels, God, or anything. I know my experiences. You have your experiences. Callers like Marie and Aziriana have their experiences. We are going to go to commercial break. You want to call in, join us in this conversation. You don't have to have an experience either. You're going to just have questions, and that's fine. But we're going to go to commercial break. Wait to call in until we come back. We've about to have a half an hour left of the show. Love to hear from you guys. Had great calls tonight. Could fit in a couple more if you guys want to call in. Otherwise, we'll go to some of the questions in the chat room. Don't forget, though, if you are a YouTube channel member and you make a comment there, I try to make sure your channel comments get up there. You can become a YouTube channel member and help out the show. Also, Super Chats. Also, you got a question, want to donate to the show. It does help pay the bills. I'll make sure your question gets up there. But we're going to commercial break. We'll be right back with our guest, Christi Clemons Hoffman, author of Real Life Angel Encounters. My voice, you want to go, alien. Oh, I'm joking. I'm sorry. It's a joke I have.
There are aliens in there, too. So.
There are. We'll see. We'll talk some more about maybe some encounters, too, when we come back from the short commercial break.
Intercepted the transmission of unknown origin.
Transmission? Out here?
SOS.
Human.
Unknown.
Alien. Certificate X. Exclusive engagement at the Odeon Leicester Square. Now.
Any systematized transmission indicating a possible intelligent origin must be investigated. I will hear it.
In space, no one can hear you scream.
If you are interested in discovering the truth about the paranormal and want to hear from leading researchers in the field, join Justin Brown on his 3 weekly shows named My Paranormal Soapbox, Necromancer Live Show, and the Supernatural Symposium, live on Facebook, YouTube, and InterfaceDeath.net.
This is an APAC studio presentation.
Hi, I'm Barry, owner-operator of Barry's Barometer Barn. Lately, I bet you've been lying awake at night asking yourself, how many barometers do I really need? Well, at Barry's Barometer Barn, we think you need more than one. Otherwise, we're gonna go out of business. Remember, at Barry's Barometer Barn, we don't know the meaning of high-pressure sales. Come on, folks, buy another barometer. I'm trying to put my kids through college, I've got a family to support, and a secret mistress who isn't cheap.
Visit Barry's Barometer Barn, 000 Storm Drive.
Come
Come on, folks, buy a barometer. I'm Barry's older brother, Larry, and every time one of you people walk past the store without coming in, Barry beats me.
This has been a presentation from Tim Morgan's APAC Studio. For more almost professional amateur comic studio content, visit the APAC YouTube channel. Search APAC 2002. That's APAC 2002 on YouTube.
When Alex Gardner is asleep, he has an extraordinary gift. The government wants it, the scientists want it, but to keep it may cost him his life. It might be better if Alex didn't sleep at all, but he cannot resist entering the dreamscape. Can you? See Dreamscape in the West End and all over London now. Certificate 15. It takes an extraordinary adventurer to enter the dreamscape.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from Talkstream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now, the Paranormal Radio app, free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
Join us every Wednesday night at midnight Eastern Standard Time for Weird Wednesday, the live stream, with your hosts Jamie, the Living Dead Girl, and Rob, the Phantom, where we'll talk about all things paranormal, including zodiac, astrology, tarot card and oracle card readings, live ghost boxing and spirit communication, where we'll do Voices from Beyond, the Cold Case Files. So we hope you join us live on Facebook and YouTube every Wednesday night at midnight Eastern Standard Time. We hope to see you there. Bye-bye.
Since 1948, Fate magazine has brought you reports of the strange and unknown, all of them true. Fate Radio is carrying on that tradition, bringing you the unusual, macabre, strange, and bizarre. Join host Kat Hopsey Sunday nights from 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern on WBHM Digital Broadcasting.
Please, Spock, do me a favor, and don't say it's fascinating. No. But it is interesting.
You're listening to Paranormal Soup, bringing you the weird every Sunday night. Call into the show and join the discussion. The call-in lines are 219-230-4444 or 260-225-9419 or by Skype caller ID 00JBland00 or JBland Paranormal Soup. And now to your host, Jason Bland.
Tonight's guest is Christi Clemons Hoffman. She is the author of Real Life Angel Encounters. And we've had a couple great calls. Azariana Marie, thank you so much for calling in and talking about your experiences. If you've got experience, we've got a little less than a half an hour left. But call in, share what you can with us tonight. Or if you have a question, please join the conversation. We've got a little bit of time left, but let's go ahead and get back to our guest. Yeah, I'm still fighting with that mouse. Still fighting with it. Still fighting him out. Ziriana, Angels and Aliens, love it. Yeah. Yeah. But let me make sure the phone lines are open. Actually, not yet. And now, nope. Turn that off. All right, there we go. Phone lines are open. Call in. Join the conversation. 219-230-4444 is the most easiest number to call in by if you can. But we're talking about real-life angel encounters with our guest, Christi. How you doing? Glad you kept this late with us tonight.
I'm surprised I'm up
Do you have it? Yeah. Well, I stay up way too late sometimes, but usually this is the summer. Usually on a school year, I have to be up at 6 a.m. after the show. It's great. Monday tomorrow, I don't have to be up. My kid, I was gonna have to get up and have my kid go mow lawns, but their lawnmower broke. That saved me. I get to stay up late with you guys, enjoying the conversation. Calling, guys. So in this book, though, you've told us a few of the encounters. Do you have any other ones you want to share tonight?
There are some really great stories in this book. I mean, I took the best of the best from season 1. So let's see, another one. Oh, this is one of my favorite stories. And this actually happened to me. And yeah, I shared it on the podcast and it's in the book. But, at the beginning of the show, I was talking about what got me to this work that I do. And it was the breakup of my marriage. And it was a really hard time. It was a terrible and confusing time. And I was actually driving on my way to see my therapist. I was on 71 Highway outside of Kansas City. And at the time, I was listening to a lot of Abraham Hicks. I love Abraham. I listened to Theo. I've had Theo on the Radiate Wellness Podcast. I listened to Bashar. I listened to Cryon. I listened to all these channels. Anyways, I was listening to a lot of Abraham Hicks. And in fact, I had a CD in the car on my way to my therapist. And I was just driving and crying. I was like, Abraham, if everything is going to be okay, you've got to give me a sign. Give me a sign, Abraham. And right then, I kid you not, this panel van pulled in front of my car. On the back of the van was printed, Abraham, the name you know, the people you trust. You cannot make this up.
Isn't that weird, though? We talk about that, like the way that's why I like to call it the Force. So I'm a big Star Wars fan, because it's like a mechanism that can move things in the universe that should be impossible.
Yes, it's energy. It's all energy.
It's like when people are driving down and they're talking about a loved one and they're a song, and that song pops right on the radio. It
right.
could be a total random thing like that.
But our loved ones are pure positive energy, and the angels are pure positive energy, and they can manipulate energy. There's a story of, it's not, or did I put it in the book? I might have put it in the book. But my friend Lisa, who had lost her mom, and she received so much after-death communication from her mom. It was crazy. But she was with her family celebrating the daughter's 8th grade graduation, and the family was having a great time. And they were at this Mexican restaurant, and Mexican music was playing, and they were talking about how grandma would have loved being there, how she loved to celebrate and loved parties and loved her family so much. And then right then, Celebrate by Kool and the Gang came on, completely out of the blue in this Mexican restaurant. And she just knew, there's mom saying hi, because that was her favorite song. She loved to celebrate, and she loved that song.
That's a perfect example. That's exactly the stuff I'm talking about. People have it. And it's like I'm saying, you're like mechanisms of like the Force, the will, God, whatever you want to call it. You would have to control the universe to make all these dominoes fall in line for that truck to pull up right at that moment in time.
Right. Absolutely. But was it an angel like pulling in front of my car on the highway? No. But it was arranged by the other side to be there at the time that I needed to have hope, at the time I needed reassurance. And it did. It certainly got my attention. Here's the kicker.
Yeah.
The kicker is that afterward, of course, that got my attention. So after my appointment, I sat down and I Googled businesses named Abraham in the area. I could find nothing. And on the truck, it had no phone number, no website, and no names other than that. That's the only thing that was printed. And it was arranged nicely. It wasn't just like stenciled letters. It was arranged, it was designed, but no indication of, is this an HVAC truck? Is it plumbing? Is it electrical? Is it welding? Is it gutters? What is it, right?
They suck at marketing.
Or it was a message just for me and me alone.
Right.
Right.
Right. I mean, or somebody really sucks at marketing.
Or somebody sucked at marketing.
Your phone number, what we do, we're just the guys you trust. Just the guys you trust.
And I am a very practical mystic that I always look for the obvious answers first. And then barring any obvious real answers, then why not? You can look at things either as everything is a miracle or as nothing is a miracle. I choose everything is a miracle. Yes, I was thinking of Abraham. I was really asking for guidance, and here comes this message right in front of my car.
I mean, life's a miracle. I mean, we know that. I mean, for all the mechanisms to create life and for us to be here, shouldn't.
It's amazing that anybody gets conceived, much less born. All the things that can happen,
Right.
It's crazy.
I just saw recently a woman died in childbirth. I'm like, wow.
Yeah,
That's
what happens.
that. You don't hear about that happens very often anymore.
No. I mean, that used to be, it was a crapshoot. Well, I'm pregnant. That's great. Or I can
Might
die.
not live through this. It's going to be on you.
Right? I mean,
And there's the husband going, no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And women.
No, that happened. That happened to my great grandfather. Is a family story that my great grandmother he was told, well, we can save the baby or save her. We're going to save the baby. He's like, oh, no, you're not. And it was like a Catholic hospital, but he's like, no, you're not. You're going to save her.
Yeah, because she can have more babies.
Well, more than that, he was just like, I ain't going to be the one raising all the kids alone, I'm sure. It's a team effort. I know how he feels. I mean, I cannot do this without my wife.
Mm-hmm.
I understand exactly how he feels.
Don't want to do it without you.
Yeah.
Right. So fascinating stuff. Fascinating stuff. So yeah, I believe that these things, all of these things can happen, and I just tell people, because people ask me all the time. In fact, in these interviews, a lot of folks are saying, well, if we want to have an angel encounter, like why do some people have these things and some people don't? How can we kind of game the system in a way that we can have one of these miraculous encounters, one of these miraculous events? And my whole thing is keep your eyes open. These things are happening all the time. And sometimes they're really easy to miss. Sometimes they're subtle.
There are also times that they're life-threatening situations. I don't think you want to put yourself in. Don't do that to go have an angel encounter.
No, don't. Seriously.
Yeah, right. I mean, but I'm just saying, like, you have these encounters for a reason at the time of that choosing. There's a reason. If it's going to happen, it's going to happen. I don't think you can just. I think people are able to communicate like you do. People can open up that channel.
Anybody can. Anybody can. And that's what we do in QHHT. Real people are going under in hypnosis, and they're channeling their higher self. I mean, we can have access to this information and these guides at any time, and we usually do, but it's easy to dismiss. It's like, oh, I had a random thought. No, you didn't. You had a claircognizant hit. Or, oh, that was weird. That was a coincidence. No, there's really no coincidences. Like, it's synchronicity.
Yeah. I mean, for me, I just feel lucky in life. I've had a lot of weirdness to prove these things to me. That's why I'm able to do. I mean, I have. I saw a green floating head when I was a kid with my cousin. I talked to my unborn sister, and I had all these weird different things. It's just, to me, I'm open to it. That it's easy for me. But it's hard for people, a lot of these concepts. So that's why I told one person I guessed I had recently, you get bite back on a lot of these concepts. It's easy for me. I'm open to the idea. Once you see a green floating head screaming through the room at 5 years old, you're pretty open to the idea that any of this stuff could be real.
Oh, right. Absolutely. Just keep your eyes and ears open. You feel a nudge, like, hey, take a different way to work today. Take a different way to work. What's the worst that can happen? You're still going to get to work, but you could have avoided an accident.
I think a lot of people have had that experience.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I've had the experience of holding like I said, people are gonna be like, oh, here we go again. Holding a dead person's picture. And it was them in their casket, but I had no name on it or anything. And I knew their first name, and then I knew their last name, and I knew they hid stuff in this house when they were in the war. And I was right about everything, that they were an alcoholic. And I wasn't trying. This was literally out of the blue. Yeah. And I never done anything like that again, but obviously that's abilities within everybody in some sense. People have these moments.
They do. Absolutely. And there are certain things that we can do to help have these moments more. The dedication page in my book, there's a quote, and of course I'm not remembering this quote. Let me see if I can find it. It is, if there is anything that keeps the mind open to angel visits and repels the ministry of ill, it is human love. So we can stay anchored in love to have more of these encounters and more angelic intervention. We can just keep our eyes and ears open and recognize that miracles are all around, disguised as coincidence. We can take up a meditation practice to still and quiet our mind so that our guides can get a word in edgewise.
Right? That's what it's like, I think. I think that is what their problem with me. And my guess.
You need to be heavily meditated.
I've been getting back into meditation. I do it very much as 20-minute sessions, though, not very long. And it's on my work break. But it's my help in the day.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's a nap, but a lot of times it's meditation.
Yeah, good.
Depends on the day.
Right?
But I want to get more back into it. I would love. I've tried to talk my sons into it, especially Liam, who has his issues, past life issues, whatever they be, temper issues that he gets from my wife. Yeah. Like, but you can, you need some meditation, kiddo. We need some time to inner reflect on some of our choices sometimes.
We need some time to shut the F up inside our mind.
Yeah.
There's an acronym I love. It's WAIT. Why am I talking? And sometimes we just keep our minds chattering nonstop. Why? Can we just slow it down and just enjoy a little bit of peace? Right.
Listen to some Alan Watts and
yes,
chill back and get to realize, what is this voice inside my head that's talking right now? Is it me? That's just a little bit of inner reflection. I think for people is big, and I'm hoping more people get it.
You recharge and rebalance, and those moments are usually when you get the most clarity.
Yeah. Yes. And when you're doing mundane tasks, when we're driving a long distance, when we're going doing the dishes, taking a shower.
Doing the dishes in Buddhism, they're said, do the dishes, then find enlightenment, and then go back and do the dishes. It's like something like that. It goes I ruined it there, but it's something about doing the dishes after finding enlightenment. So, I think about that every time I do the dishes every day.
And let it work itself out. And then all of a sudden it just comes to you when you're not trying to force things into boxes and reason with things as you're trying to figure it out. You just kind of zone out, let it go, let it do what it wants to do in the back, but relax. And all of a sudden it's incredible.
Yeah. Yeah. Or you wake up in the morning and you've got the answer.
Yeah.
There's a lot to be said for sleeping on it.
Oh, I agree. I've told people that too, that are going to because we'll do, we call it live ITC nights. It's been a long time, and we need to get Tony Rothman on here. Tony. Mm-hmm. I was trying to totally space on his name. Tony Rothman does this thing called the Staticom. It's really interesting for communicating with the other side, And we've done a lot of our own shows with our different devices, apps, or whatever. And at first, I was a very big skeptic of it all until I've seen the communication personally for myself and seen it for other people calling in. And this. People call in, they go, well, I try spirit boxes, I try apps, I'm not getting anything on your show. How do I get this connection? People that are really wanting to connect, sometimes I'm like, well, tell them before you go to sleep.
Yeah, absolutely. Before you go to sleep, set that intention. Yeah, come visit me. I'd love to hear from you. Now, one thing about meditation I will add, because I teach meditation and I lead meditation around town, is that it is the gold standard for achieving clarity and receiving guidance, but that cannot be your goal to receive guidance, right? The goal is to quiet your mind. The receiving guidance and hearing from your guides, that's icing on the cake.
It comes.
Right, exactly. But the goal is to achieve space between the barrage of thoughts that we have all day.
The monkey mind.
The monkey mind. Stop the hamster wheel. Right? So when we can we cannot stop the mind. We think we can stop the mind, but Jesus, you can't stop your heart and you can't stop your lungs. Why do we think we can stop our mind? We can't stop our mind, but we can slow it down so there's some space in between those constant thoughts. And that's when we can, achieve connection.
It's funny when you get into it and you're like, oh, I'm not thinking any. Oh no, I am right now thinking this. So now I'm running. That part of early meditation.
Ooh, I've completely.
I'm totally peaceful, not thinking. Wait a second, isn't this thinking? Oh yeah, shoot.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah.
But you get to this. You know it when you know it. You know it when you get a feeling. Yeah, you can't describe it. It's a state. I'm not great at it, but I've gotten it. I've had this feeling, I've reached it several times in meditation where it's like a moment, a space that you give yourself where that monkey mind's gone and you're that thing. It's as close as I can say is you can get to a space where you are peaceful enough where you're almost touching the tip of what I experienced when I felt what I call the force or God. You're giving it room to enter.
You're giving it room to enter. I like that. Well, and anything that we do slowly, deliberately, with space in between, anything can be meditation when we do it mindfully. So when I worked at Hallmark, with intent, when I worked at Hallmark, that you park in the parking garage, and it was like seriously a mile to go through the bowels of the parking garage and the bowels of the building to get to my desk. It was a mile. And you're in this tunnel connects the parking garage to the building, and there's no cell service at all. There's no Wi-Fi. There's nothing. Right. It's good. Nothing else to do but walking meditation. Dude, I got a ton of walking meditation.
I do that at work. At work sometimes when it's slow and people are like, why I don't stand. I wanted just to stand somewhere while you're waiting for customers or whatever. And I'll walk around the store. I do figure eights and it's my walking meditation.
Yeah, absolutely. Walking meditation, eating meditation, yoga meditation. I mean, anything you do mindfully with mindfulness can be meditation.
Yeah, I that's one of the things I love. Like I said, I don't prescribe to any one religion, not even Buddhism, but I do. There's a lot of the aspects of Buddhism early on. My mom's a Buddhist, that I think are important, can help people, like walking meditation. And even Taoism, your stuff in Taoism I love. Like I do this thing called scooping the loop, which is basically it's like this meditation, walking meditation kind of, where you don't have to be walking either, but generally I'll do it with my walking meditation where you picture this energy coming up your spine, over your head, down your throat, out with your breath. And it'll help me. It'll help me get energy or clear my mind or put me at peace, a little bit. Help ease my anxiety, I guess.
No, that's beautiful, man.
I got it from a Taoist book. I don't know if it's Taoist, but it was a Taoist book. It was, what was the Barefoot Doctor's Tao or something like that. And I used it, and it's helped. That visualization. I feel it's not even visualization. I feel it. It's not just seeing it, some imaginary thing in my head. I feel the energy moving through my body.
Yeah. You're creating a toroidal field by circulating
right.
Like that. Yeah. No, I totally am down with that. Very good. I mean,
the force.
The force. Well, we were talking about how doing the dishes and mowing the yard and, planting flowers and stuff, that can be very meditative. Very meditative.
Yeah. Wax on, wax off, Danielson. Yeah.
Yeah, all the nerd references. I love it.
I'm a pop culture guy. I'm a kid of the 80s. I can't help it. But I think it is, in a sense, it's that Campbell thing. I mean, Star Wars is heavy on it. It's these things trying to teach us these things in so many ways. And the journey of the tarot, the fool to the magician.
Yeah, I love that. Right. There's meaning in everything. And I mean, sometimes we can make ourselves a little bit crazy. What does this mean? I have to know what it means. And we don't have any peace because we got to see. But sometimes we can just let it be what it is as well. And sometimes we can just let ourselves know
My
that.
Christian friends, I think, have a great way of sometimes is they give it to God.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that's always been a beautiful way. It's like, I don't know. I can't deal with it. I'm giving it to you, God. And I've always thought that was a beautiful way of dealing with it. And some people joke on that, and I don't. I think it's a beautiful way of, hey, letting go. You got to let go and humble yourself. And sometimes this is bigger than me, and it's God's plan.
I used to teach Sunday school for years. And one of the projects that I liked doing was making a God can. And so we would just take these, steel cans, and then kids would decorate them. And any problem that you've got, I can't solve it, but God can, and put it in your can. Right?
Yeah.
So
I mean, if you can't fix it right now, why not dwell on it? This is something I've reminded myself a billion times. If you can't fix it right now, then why the hell are you dwelling on it? If you can't do anything about it right now, then let it go.
Yeah.
That's a hard one for me. I've worked on that one a lot.
Well, we were talking about, I was talking about Abraham Hicks earlier, and Esther Hicks she calls it the placemat process, where she'll have her whatever problem she's working on. On the left is what I can do, action steps I can do.
Right.
And then on the right side is like what I'm giving over to God, what I'm going to let God do.
Nothing I can do about this one, God. This is all you. Here, given that one to deal with. I can't do anything on that. Yeah.
It'd be really great.
There's some people you got to do that with.
Yeah, some people you got to do that with, right? But it's just the recognition that our power is not being in a victim, right? Our power is not being in victim mentality, right? And
Right, that's a big problem in society right now. But that's a whole other show.
It's adherence to the story that we tell ourselves and others, right? There's nothing outside of the story. So getting out of that victim mentality and just opening your mind, it's like, okay, well, this is a problem, but there's a problem. I'll solve it, right? That there's.
I love that. You're like, I'll solve it. Oh my God.
And that there is a solution. I don't have to dwell in this state forever. Right? It's not going to be like this always, that there could be a solution. And that solution might come from something that's much bigger and much smarter than I am.
It's like, I was like, it's another Buddhist reference for the Four Noble Truth,
Yeah.
Four Noble Truths, that there's, that there's suffering, but that's an illusion, that everything's impermanent and always in a constant flow of change.
Right.
So you might feel bad now, but that will change.
And the only source of feeling bad is attachment.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Detached from outcome, detached from results, detached from the situation. Yeah.
But I think a lot of people get like hung up on that, and it's like it's the same story in Star Wars, in the sense about attachment. Like the Jedi get it wrong. Like you got to not be attached to anything. Like, you have to be. There's a difference between attachment and bond, like the soul bond and relationship with people and love. There's something else. It's different than the normal forms of attachment. There's meaning there.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, I tell you, from the hundreds and hundreds of QHHT sessions that I have done, everything comes down to love. I mean, the Beatles had it right. Love is all there is. All you need is love. Love is it's like everything is love when we stay anchored in love. And right now, there are so many people who are just not anywhere near love, right? And last year, about this time, I was in Sedona, and I went to the Unity Church there. It's the Center for Christ Consciousness, dynamic minister there. And he was talking about how the times when things are not going right in our life and we feel at odds with ourselves and others, those are the times that we don't feel connected to God.
Right.
God is always connected to us. It's, we can either feel it or not. So when
we disconnect.
We disconnect. Exactly.
Yeah.
Connect to God, boom, it all starts working again.
Yeah, that's my my journey. I've learned, I think is that, what I deal with is my anxieties or worries and all that I have to let it go. That's the humbling thing. The control thing you talk about. It's like you want to control every situation. You want to like I want to prevent my kids. I mean, my wife talked about, are we hover parents? Like, because we are, sometimes. But, it's like, at the same time, you have to let go to, in a sense, the will, the force, or God.
Mm-hmm.
Who am I to control anything?
Right. Who am I to control anything? Yeah. I mean, the more that we try to exert control, I mean, that's very much the ego mind. That's not. God has a much better way of resolving things than we think we know. It's like I could try to go in and control the situation, but Jesus, God is so much smarter than
in this world. I've had to tell this to friends and family that've gotten caught up in politics and everything we've gone through in the last 10 years or whatever, and either side or whatever, the people get caught up in this stuff. And I even said this to a young kid who's a Mormon, very faithful in his religion, and he believes in God. I said, and I could caught him catching up in this culture war stuff, and he started talking stuff to me, and I said, what does all this do? You said God is love. We agreed on that. Is this love? What you're saying? Is it love? No, it's not. It's just separation. It's you versus them versus you. That's what you're talking, I'm like, don't get caught up in that bullcrap. Remember what you first told me, the first commandment.
Right.
That's what I'm trying to, that's what people need to learn. That's what I'm nobody. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but
in
my opinion.
And either God is perfect or not. I mean, so if you're saying that somebody's bad because they're gay, they're trans, they're brown, they're
right,
whatever,
exactly.
Are you saying that God made a mistake?
Right, that was my point. Right.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
isn't this all part of God's? This is all part of God's plan, right?
All part of God's plan.
So let go and go with it.
Yeah, just chill, dude.
Yeah, I mean, this is a good kid. He's a good kid. He's very spiritual. I don't know him very well, but I could tell he's a good kid and he's very spiritual. And I said that to him, and I've said it to people like my parents and other people that get upset about things going on in the world and friends. Is can you fix it? Can you change it? Can you damn thing you do going to change anything any of these powerful people are doing right now? Nope.
Right.
So why lose a day of sleep over it or sweat on it? Spend the time with the people you love and know, and hope the will of the force or God or whatever you believe in sets things right.
Yeah. And
stand by your morals, make good decisions, try to be the best person you can. That's what you can do. Pieces every step. That's not Han.
Thank you. Yeah, that's awesome.
I love having you on the show, Christi. I'd love to have you again. So keep in touch. We want to check out Christi Clemons Hoffman, Real Life Angel Encounters is the book.
Yeah. You can order it on Amazon.com, UK, US. Mm-hmm. You can
Any other websites and stuff you want to get out to people too again?
Yeah, my website is radiatewellnesscommunity.com. This is a group practice, and there's information about all of our practitioners, all of the things we do, our classes and events. There's a shop tab where you can also find Real Life Angel Encounters and a couple of the other books that our group has contributed to or written. There are downloadable meditations and all kinds of things on the website. So yeah, radiatewellnesscommunity.com. I would also like to put out a plug for Journeys into the Soul. This is a docu-series that I am in. I have an episode in season 2 of Journeys into the Soul. Yeah. Journeys into the Soul is a docu-series that focuses on different hypnosis practitioners around the world doing various practices to help people uncover who they truly are and get deeper answers to life's questions. And my episode is with a client named Roger, who's also from Missouri, and he's dealing with anger issues. And I think this episode is going to.
Where can you watch it?
JourneysIntoTheSoul.com. And it will be on Gaia, hopefully by the end of the month.
Okay. Yeah, I'll definitely check that. I love that stuff. I will check that out for sure.
Yeah, season 1 is out on Gaia already.
They don't have Gaia, though.
Oh, okay, that's cool. It's at JourneysIntoTheSoul.com.
I'll watch it on there. You can watch it on there?
Premiered last week.
I definitely will.
Please. My episode is called I'm Not Done.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Christi. You've been a great guest. I can't wait to check out the book. And everybody else, check it out. Real Life Angel Encounters by Christi Clemons Hoffman. You've been awesome. We got to keep in touch, though. Like I say, you get another book coming out. Please let me know. I'll get you on the show.
I would love that. I'd love to come back and talk all about QHHT as well.
Yeah, I actually would. I'd like to learn more about that process, what differs a little bit on how that works and like the experiences people have in these journeys. So, all right, we're over time though. I gotta go.
Sorry,
Thank you so much. No, that's my show. I actually could end any time I want, but I try to keep it to a schedule for people. That's it. Till next Sunday, guys. Next Sunday, either open lines. Maybe I know people said, why would we do ITC? I've been kind of waiting for Tony Rothman. We got to get Tony Rothman with the static on here. I would love to do that. I mean, I think it's the future of ITC, honestly. Thank you, Azariana. Great call. Thank you, Marie, for your great call tonight, too. Blessings, everyone, their families, and fur babies. Yes. Thank you. Yes, definitely blessings to your fur babies and everything out there. Thank you, Christy. Thank you, Jamie. Everybody, thank you for joining us tonight. Thank you to everybody who subscribes and follows the show, and to our Patreons and our YouTube channel members. Your donations definitely help pay the bills. All right, guys, have a great week. See you next Sunday. And then I'm going to fight with my mouse to get to the outro part here. Here we go. I got to get that. There we go. Okay.